Welcome to Hard Right, episode 4. I am Devious Dave Rose. And we have here the man who needs no introduction, the man called Tex.
Howdy, folks. Hope everybody's doing well. Mr. Rose, how are you, sir?
Fired up tonight because there are a plethora of topics to discuss, and I'm willing to shoot from the hip on every single one.
Yeah, we are literally flying by the seat of our pants on this one, and I don't think we're going to miss a beat on anything.
We don't need a fucking script. Fuck it, we're doing it live. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Yeah, there's some big stuff happening. I don't know if anybody else is paying attention out there, but literal landmarks are exploding out of nowhere. And I know you and I both find that very titillating and interesting because there's some shenanigans going on, I feel. I have a couple theories myself, and I'm sure you do too. But what are your thoughts on this whole Georgia Guide stuff? Tell me where you're
just
at.
to let the audience know that early this morning, and I did show this on my previous stream, which was a gaming stream, but regardless, you should have been tuned in. The Georgia Guidestones at about, I think, 4 o'clock Central Time, a portion, one of the pillars was detonated, and the damage was so replete that as if this afternoon they'd literally raised the entire structure and brought it entirely down. And for those that aren't aware, the Georgia Guidestones essentially had 5 pillars, 4 of them which had languages on either side that explained the exact same thing. And amongst all the different guidelines that they provided, they said that humanity must be reduced to 500 million people. This, again, Guidestone was set up in a way that, during the summer solstice, the sign would, the statue would allow for the sun to shine right through a certain, slit in the rock, and, to display this sort of thing. But, again, the intention was clear, is that it was clearly, and again, it was made by someone labeled as R.C. Christian. Now, could that be Rosicrucian? Could it be Roman Catholic? But there's clearly evidence when it comes to the name. And this structure was supposedly paid for and completed by that person. But it looks like some people don't take too kindly with being dictated to when it comes to the future of humanity.
Let's see. Here's my number one problem for anybody who's not a conspiracy nut, who hasn't studied these things. The Georgia Guidestones have a 24/7 camera live footage on them at all times. They're always lit. They're always watched. There may not be armed guards there all the time, but somebody is always watching these things.
Makes you wonder why.
How does of course, that's a whole other question, but how does somebody get up there, plant an explosive, whether it's an IED, plastic explosive, whatever it may be?
They're fucking good, is what I'm saying. They're fucking real good.
I don't think anybody. I think
you can't sneak up on this shit. I know what you're saying. You can't just sneak up on this shit. I think the people who own this did this, and what I'm going to cite as my example as those Twin Towers there in New York. These people destroyed their own creation, and what did they put up? A one world tower. What does that one world tower? What does that symbolize? That literally is symbolizing the one world government that they're trying to install. The liberal world order, they're actually calling it. Joe Biden even said it on TV. CNN is pushing the timeline here. I sent Dave an article about it. He probably saw it the same day that I did when it happened. I guarantee you this was done. It was either an act of God, which if it was an act of God, he would have took the whole thing down, or it's an inside job. That is a
because
very
this
good
makes no
point. That
sense.
is a very good point that you're raising because, again, the sympathy that these individuals would like to
Right.
accrue because of the focus that's being currently put on them would certainly help out if, oh, their precious monument was defaced. Oh, my God.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look at what God did to the temple when they crucified Jesus. He salted the earth and leveled that place. You really think he couldn't swat this little fly down without even flutter of a hand?
And
Like
on the,
this isn't,
I'm just going to
you
advise
know,
people that are watching. On the left is the Georgia Guidestones, immaculate, and on the right is the recent images of what were taken
right.
from the destruction that occurred.
Well, see, Costanza says they're getting rid of anything satanic. No, I think it's going the opposite way. I think they're tearing down the old to build something
There
worse.
you go, and that's where it goes back to what you were saying about the first,
Yeah,
like what's it called, the Freedom Tower, whatever, in New York.
yeah,
They tear
yeah.
down. They tear down
Oh,
specific. Again, if you understand masonry, Freemasonry, you understand that you bring down the two pillars and then you rise and reform as one. And that is what we're going to be probably seeing from what Tex is talking about.
well,
We've seen in New York.
I mean,
Take the two, build
how
the one.
do y'all out there listening? Do you realize how hard granite is? That's one of the hardest stones that you can get. That's why they build this stuff out of it. You can't just walk up with a hammer and break it. This takes something massive. And if you look at that picture in that center piece right there, about middle ways up on the left hand side, there's a circular piece like a chunk out of it, like they put some sort of claymore device, some sort of explosive that could fire out on that one pillar of it to knock it down. I mean, this was a targeted thing. If you go watch the footage of this thing exploding, it explodes up and then it goes out on that one side. It was a completely directed explosion.
Well, of course,
This wasn't, you know,
sorry, go on.
I mean, there is, this is not, this was not an accident. This was not, oh, we're just going to blow it up. This was done intentionally. There's like, just go back and watch. I mean, I don't know if it's plastic explosives, C4, like Costanza's saying, IED, Claymore. There's a million things that it could be. But this was done intentionally. And there's a lot going on right now. CERN just got turned back on. We know the evil that thing is. There is so much happening that, with Joe Biden coming out saying this liberal world order thing, they don't use those kind of terms unless there's an agenda behind it. These people have a plan. We may think they're stupid, but the ones that are actually in charge, not the politicians, are very, very smart people. They know what they're doing. And there's something going on here. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know what's coming next, but we know when they turn that CERN on, it starts messing with stuff. And if anybody has caught the recent season of Stranger Things, spoilers ahead, but you know what happens in Hawkins. The gateway to the upside down was literally cracked open. Vecna had
That
access to the
certainly does go into even deeper. But I'm pulling up the footage, so it'll be on repeat. It's I don't know how many seconds long, 12 seconds. But we'll just let this play on repeat if you want to observe this or even address it, because some people in the chat said they believe that it seems like lightning was coming from above. Now, again, I haven't had the time to study this. I also suffered a very egregious injury to my tailbone, so even coughing and laughing is putting me through a lot of pain. And you could make me feel a lot better if you donated, people. Again, I'm being Joey Beg here. So, but look at this.
people are giving, I'm going to get my piece too. Back up.
But look at this. So again, I haven't really looked at this, but we've seen that the way that it explodes. You're correct. Obviously, granite is one of the hardest materials out there.
Right,
To even sculpt it is a challenge. Now, to
right.
destroy it, to be able to have enough explosive material to actually cause this sort of damage that we saw, requires a substantial amount. And I can't put it out of my mind that maybe this is an attempt to garner sympathy by saying, by exactly like you said, maybe it wasn't a person, maybe it was the people who put it up themselves to try to make it look like, oh, we're under attack. It certainly has happened in the past.
Well, I can't help but think who benefits from this.
There we
And
go.
if you
That's the
look
way
at
you got to think.
what's if you look at what's on those tablets that they, or not tablets but stones, tablets is a poor choice of words for this. If you look at the stone and what it says on there about keeping population under 500 million, which, folks, if you don't realize, in order to get to that number, about 80% of the population of the earth would have to die. So this is a big thing here. It talks about how countries should be governed. All of these very one world government, one world religion, Armageddon into the world type things. And what better way than to pin it on there was some white nationalist MAGA supporter, whatever they're going to say. But this wasn't, they blew up a McDonald's. They literally destroyed a gigantic piece of granite stone. This thing's like 19 feet tall or something. I forget how big it is.
I'm showing
this thing is
a graphic where
massive.
they're bringing it down.
Yeah. Like some Johnny Redneck from Georgia down there, they don't have the capability.
But this falls into what you were saying before, is that, again, when it comes to the Twin Towers, which is the Freemasonic Boaz and I can't remember the other pillar.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the word. Oh my God.
I'll bring it up right now.
Yeah.
Because I have to say it right. But basically, in Freemasonry, in the Temple of Solomon, there was two masons that created these two columns. One of them was hold on, there we go. Boaz and Jachin or Gachin. It depends on how you pronounce it. But one of the pillars was well defined, well made. The other one was made, very roughly. And the one that was made roughly by its sculptor killed the guy that made the good one because he was jealous or something like that. It's part of the myth and mythology of Freemasonry. But again, you have the two, you break the two down, you make the one.
Right.
So the same with the two towers, the Twin Towers. You break the two down and you make them the one. What do you got? One World Trade Center now, or whatever the fuck.
Exactly.
Same thing with this. You're dealing with something that is basically an esoteric. So they will make their own. Again, they'll make their own temples. They'll make their own testaments and such, and they will purposely destroy it. Why? Because it's really just not only a testament of what they plan to do, but also advising people, by the way, we're willing to break down our own system so that we can install something new. So they're willing to burn their own system down to include a new system that they develop. It's hard to describe. I don't want to spend all our time on this, but when you understand how the elite work, you understand that they're willing to sacrifice their own to accomplish, because again, through how they understand this is that you can get life, or rebirth, I should say, rebirth through death and fire. So they're more than willing to do that. Why? Because then their new point will be rebirth.
Well, to understand what we're talking about, you have to take about 10,000 steps back and look at the whole picture. Look at the way we have to live. Look at how much it costs to get a gallon of gas right now. Some places, hell, there were gas stations around the airport in Florida that it was over $8 a gallon because it was just within 5 miles or so of the airport.
Wow.
And people were paying for it. Here where I live, it's about $4.50 a gallon. You know, so look at how much food costs, everything else. And while all of this stuff is going on, we're paying almost $5 a gallon in some places. And Joe Biden sends our reserves over to China, which he did today for the last couple of days. While Americans can't afford anything, we can't afford food. We can't do anything. You know, they are literally trying to take away every right that we have. Every week, you're seeing 2 or 3 mass shooters that all look like they're a bunch of MK Ultra victims, that they're half crazy and completely out of their minds. You know, this whole thing is playing. This is like, okay, that game that you play, you know, on the channel here or whatever. They're doing that in real life. Oh, well, there's a civil disobedience over here. Oh, well, Baltimore needs blah blah blah. They are playing with us. We are their literal video game. It's not the crap. I've got so much going in my brain it hurts right now.
I hear you.
This is how you're literally in my head right now. I've got 3 things going at once, and it's chaos. But they're literally using us as toys on their board. And the politicians that you see on your television, they're not the ones in charge. There is and this is just my personal theory, I think it's the corporations. When people talk about the NWO, the elite, or whatever, I think it's the heads of these corporations. You can even go 13 or 12 bloodlines. You can go take it in either way that you want. I think it's all tied in together here. George Soros of the world. These people are the ones that are pulling the reins, calling the shots, and causing all of this chaos. And what we're seeing with this Georgia Guidestone thing is just a perfect example of what do they always say? You don't ever let a good tragedy go to waste, right? Well, how much is this going to set off conspiracy theorist minds like myself, like you? We're talking about this. We're playing into it because it's getting the attention. It's everybody's talking about it. They're going to be talking about it. And whenever they, erect their new tower, or not their new tower, their new monument for whatever they're going to build, I guarantee you it's going to be much darker than what they just bulldozed there in Georgia. Guarantee you.
Good point.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. But I was just showing while you were speaking some of the graphics there on the Georgia Guidestones. But yeah, an interesting turn of events to say the least. But I guess we'll have to see whether or not this was in fact premeditated and done by them, or it was somebody that just chose to say enough is enough, and I'm going to show you guys that we won't stand for this.
Well, see, that's the thing. And I'm not saying that's not out of the possibility. But if that were the case, don't you think that, A, they would have video of it, B, we would have seen it already?
Well, let me bring this image up here on screen. This is supposedly from the GBI releasing surveillance, I guess it's Georgia Bureau of Investigation, releasing surveillance video from this morning's explosion that destroyed the Georgia Guidestone. So you see a car that comes in here, not even driving on the road, and yeah, an interesting take. But yeah, I believe there is a substantial amount of video now. It could be, again, somebody that owns it, that wants to do what you said, which was damage it, bring sympathy to them. Could be a local that says, fuck this shit, enough is enough, in combination with the cops saying, I think I'm going to cut that camera out there, and the footage doesn't exist. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Meanwhile, understanding, fuck these globalists and fuck their monument. And I don't mind either way.
Well, because if you look at the timestamp of when the explosion actually happened, it happened at 4:03:33 seconds. So, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, the Georgia Guidestones are on the 33rd plane or whatever." It's actually on the 34th. It's not the 33rd. It's close, but it is what it is. The problem with stuff like this is it's big stuff. Like, we're playing with big boy toys here. This is 9/11-esque conspiracy level stuff because there's so much that's tied into it. When you look at all of the things that are happening right now, politically, economically, societal, these are all symptoms of a tearing down of what we have. So a rebirth of whatever's going to come after it can happen. We're living in the middle of history right now. Why do you think so many different lifestyles are being put out? This flag, that flag, all of these are symptoms of a rebirth. We are literally in the birth throes of something that a lot of us aren't going to like. And this is heavy stuff. I mean, this is not just, the Japanese warned Americans about Pearl Harbor that they were going to do it. This is way deeper than that, even though that's a whole other show. But this is big stuff here, y'all. And I mean, I understand a lot of people might look at this as, somebody blew up a rock in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. I promise you, it's much bigger than that. What it symbolizes, what it really.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got confirmed baby killer, Marine. I got to do that. The one and only G.I. Joe Compton. And he's never killed any babies to my knowledge. So, come on, Joe. You wanted to call in. You're not even prepped. You don't even have your mic ready. What the fuck? Tex, you want to shit on him too? Because he deserves it. No mic. Nothing. Hello? Hello? What the fuck? We don't even have anybody. What's going on here? Can you hear me? Okay, well, let's add Tex again. Tex, you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on with what's going on with our Marine here? He's not even responding. He's on the call.
I was saying he probably killed some kids this morning whenever he jerked off before he got out of bed.
Well, I mean, that's debatable whether or not masturbation is actually killing kids. But,
I know, but it's fun. It's fun to joke about because we know he couldn't get laid in a women's prison with a handful of partners. But
I don't know. I mean, there's some very desperate women out there, and they see you in a uniform, and it doesn't matter if you're fucking wearing the uniform of fucking gas station attendant. They'll fuck you. I mean, they're like a man in uniform. Let's just be honest. You fucking laid it out perfectly. They come out of the factory damaged. And that's the best. Again, I don't think that anyone in this community has given better advice than Tex when it comes to that. Just accept the fact that they were damaged when they came out of the factory. Once you understand that, you know how to deal with them. Until then, good luck. Ladies and gentlemen, a true American hero, G.I. Joe Compton.
Let's try this again. Take two. Am I any better?
Oh, much, much better. We can actually hear you this time. Actually, no, maybe that's worse.
But you're still not better. We can hear you. What's up?
Oh, I'm sorry about your goddamn luck, Tex. Yours got to suck the fuck up, son.
So what's up, man?
In this community, there's only one person in this community that has the balls to say that to you, and that's me.
See, sadly, I'll have to let you know when I care, but I wouldn't hold my breath. It's probably going to be a while. So if I take a seat.
Go ahead and do it. Let's see how long you hold your breath.
Come on, I've hit worse on Tex.
Either way, Compton. What are your thoughts on these Georgia guys? Like, what's the input from the soldiers?
Now refresh my memory because I've been putting in the hours here lately. What's going on?
You take it, Tex.
Wow.
I'm tired of talking.
Okay, sure. At 4:03 this morning. Okay, first of all, do you know what the Georgia Guidestones are?
Negative.
Okay. Basically, in Georgia, I forget the town, there's this, it's like a 19-foot tall granite statue. There's these 4 granite pillars, and they have like these rules for the world, like keep population under 500 million. You know, here's what languages should be used. Here's how you handle religion, you know, political issues. Basically, it's rules for the new world is what it is. And it was mysteriously put up by a man who would not give his real name. He said his name was R.C. Christian. That's all that he would ever give. And a lot of people have speculated, is it Ted Turner because of the, you know, he's with his connections with the world elite, being there in Georgia. That's personally who I think it was. But we've never confirmed who it actually was. And somebody allegedly attached an explosive to it, and it blew one of the pillars. But there's some problems here. A, we have no footage of anybody attaching bombs or an explosive to this.
Despite the fact that apparently this place is covered with 24-hour surveillance, which is strange because this R.C. Christian pay for that too?
Well, that's the whole thing. There is a live feed directed to the police. This is treated as if it's a national monument, like you were going to, you know, the Vietnam Wall or something. It gets the same level of treatment. It's just in rural Georgia, and it's tied in with a lot of the New World Order talk. A lot of dangerous stuff is on these. Compton. If you've never read what's on the Georgia Guidestones, I would recommend you read it because it is very troublesome stuff.
Actually, you know what? Maybe will just pull that up and I can read that. You keep talking, but I'm going to pull that up so I can actually read it out to Joe, so he understands the gravity. Because there is it's very heavy, dude. It's like Marty McFly with Doc in 1955. It's heavy, dude. It really is.
Oh shit!
What?
Well, see, that's the whole thing is there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now. And it's like I mentioned earlier, I'll just reiterate it. You have Joe Biden coming out talking about the liberal world order. They are using this terminology now. They're trying to normalize this term. It's all over CNN. You have CERN being turned back on 2 days ago, which is very dangerous because it's playing with some stuff that can hurt a lot of people and possibly end this whole freaking planet. I mean,
it could potentially create black holes that would suck this planet into oblivion. Yeah. But on the screen right now, Joe Compton, I have what's the description and the inscriptions of the Guidestones. So I'll read them out to you. Number 1, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, just a reminder, we have currently 7.5 billion people on the planet. Yeah. Number 2, guide reproduction wisely. Oh, you mean eugenics. Improving fitness and diversity. Interesting. So you want to muddy the waters, as it were. Number 3, unite humanity with a living new language. You mean what God did not want? That all humans in Babylon gain one language? Okay. Number 4, rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So that is to say, ignore the faith and tradition of your predecessors and rule it with whatever reason that they define. Number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. But some societies are more equal than others. We're not going to judge everyone equally, but that's what they want us to do. Number 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. Well, that's a total contradiction in what's being said. Let all nations rule internally, which means their laws are sovereign, and yet resolving external disputes in a world court? No, that's a total hypocrisy. Number 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. Petty laws, like the ones that they're ignoring right now in San Francisco, where people are just running into stores and stealing shit, running out. No, those are petty laws. They're oppressed people. And useless officials. You mean the ones that actually speak up against corruption. Number 8, balance personal rights with social duties. I'm sorry, but the only ultimate right is the right that you have given to you by God for yourself. Social duties have nothing to do with it. Again, facts don't care about your feelings. I certainly, and again, if you want to, get your butt twisted, the fact is, I am not responsible for the fact that you get butt hurt or that I'm more intelligent than you, more capable. It's not my fucking problem. But this is telling us that, we've got to balance our rights, our actual God-given rights, with your personal feelings. Shut the fuck up. Number 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Is it the infinite madness of Satan? Certainly sounds like it. Number 10, be not a cancer on earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Now, if anyone understands actual magic casting, which I do, but I'm certainly no fucking wizard, when you repeat a phrase, at least twice, that is the invocation of a spell. So, first of all, be not a cancer on earth. What? Humans are in balance with the earth. They might try to convince you otherwise, but that's not the case. Humans naturally are agrarian. Okay? After the last ice age, humans naturally gravitated towards tilling the fields, becoming farmers. Why? Because this is actually built into us. You look at fucking even animals. They understand how to grow food, even if it's built intrinsically into their evolution. But we understand that. So humans are not a cancer on earth. And lastly, before I shut the fuck up, a repetition. And again, remember I told you, first of all, repetition is the sign of a weak mind. But more importantly, I haven't talked about this, but now we're going to have to. Repetition is the invocation of spells. And if you don't fucking understand how heavy the gravitas is of that, I don't know what I can do to educate you. Now, Tex, Joe, continue.
Yes, sir.
All right, my thought on this, now that I'm halfway up to speed there, bud. Let me see, which one was it? Number 5 ain't gonna happen. With fair laws and just courts, fuck. That's all fucking Capitol Hill and politicians.
It's all about perspective. They'll claim it's fair. Meanwhile, you're spending 20 years in jail because you went to the Capitol and waved an American flag?
Right.
Or you spent 20 years in jail just because you had half a gram of pot on you.
There's that too.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that one you can definitely rule out as absolute fucking horse shit.
How about the first one where 80% of the population would have to die?
Yeah, definitely no. I don't agree with that one in the least bit.
I mean, if you want to start poking holes in this, that's a pretty big one.
If we got to start anywhere, it should be that.
Guide reproduction wisely? Shit. That means cut the dumbasses that procreate. Don't let them reproduce.
It means eugenics. It literally means, okay, this person's going to have Down syndrome when they're born. Abort them. This woman has a proclivity to fucking multiple men. Sterilize her. I mean, it is what it is.
I just say sterilize all the dumbasses, not everyone.
See, hang on a minute, guys. What better way to control population than tell little boys and their little girls Tell the
There
little
we
girl.
go. There we go. That's another great way because you're confusing the populace into thinking something. And more importantly is that, and I guess we're going to have to move into this great segue, is that, guess what? Gays don't reproduce. It's as simple as that.
Right.
You want to really get into the science of it. It's, what was it called? Apogenetic. But regardless, is that if you really want to know how gays produce, it's called molestation.
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing here is if you make normal, actual right society into a term like, oh, let's see, what's the term they use? Breeders? I think they call straight people breeders.
Well, that's one of the terms that they use. Yes, breeders. Yes.
So they take what a normal way of life should be, and they categorize it in a off the cuff kind of title to where they can make fun of it.
They attempt to dismiss it and diminish it as being invaluable. Meanwhile, there would be no gay people if there were no straight people, would there?
Right. It's as I posted on Father's Day. I said, "Happy Father's Day. You're only here because your dad's not queer."
Hey, I sent you that fucking meme. Let's be honest, I'm the meme master.
No, I posted it from somewhere else, but you sent it to me as well. I'll give you half credit on that. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were doing, but regardless, great minds think alike. Let's just leave it at that. Right. How about that?
I mean, how often have we had the same thought at the same time?
Yeah, basically.
Whatever. This is, it's like I said, about 20 minutes ago. To see this whole picture, you got to take 10,000 steps back and take a wide look at this, because the ones that are doing this, the elite, the ones that have the control, that have the power, like I said, not your politicians. They're the puppets on the string. They're dancing on the stage. These people compartmentalize everything that they do. And the reason I have such a problem with this gay stuff, with this trans stuff, is because I see it for the agenda that it really is. In reality, I don't care who you sleep with. If you want to suck a dude and you're a dude, go do it.
And
just don't tell me about
more
it.
importantly is that this is a new phenomenon. Okay, I've known gay people. I have people, in my circles and stuff that are gay, and again, they're older, obviously, but they're not. And they've actually told me straight out. There's one guy that told me, it's like, I don't like the gay parade at all. Did I go there when I was younger? Yeah. But you know what? We had fucking rights long ago. Not only do I think we don't need the parade, I don't like the fact that these guys are fucking going out nude and exposing themselves to kids. So there are gay people out there that really say this is not acceptable. And, it's clear that basically this is more of a new phenomenon where this is being pushed to the point where you have to accept it. It's not like, oh, we're going to have a private parade. You want to join us? Great. You don't want to join us? Great too. We're in a private area. We're not like pushing anything on anybody. It's just a little private gay parade. Fine. And, that's it. Rather than what's come about in the last 20 years probably, where it's just so blatant and so pushed out, where it's forcing people to say, I don't want to even look at this. Because first of all, I'm not even interested. I don't give a fuck who you fuck. Just like, leave me alone. I'm just trying to shop. I'm just trying to fucking go down the street. And you're like showing this in my face and shit. It's just like, I don't care. But when you push it in my face, I'm going to say, leave me alone. And if you're going to call me a homophobe for that, well, maybe I'll take issue with that.
And that is the whole reason why any show I've ever done, anytime I've ever spoke out about this, I have been as adamant as I am. Is because I see it for what it is. It's an agenda. It is part of the plan. Go back and look at how Joe Biden got elected. Joe Biden was standing on the necks of blacks saying, oh, I support you, blah, blah, blah. The minute he gets elected, what does he do?
Well, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. He said that.
Well, of course. Well, that's how it starts. But then once he gets the nomination, I'm going to choose a woman of color. He hasn't even
She's half
Completely
Indian. She's
excluding,
Jamaican and Indian.
completely
She's not even
excluding
black.
everything else. Everything that they do, that these people in charge, these elite, I'm talking on the right and on the left, is agenda driven. It goes from guns, sexuality, to this right, to that right, to race stuff. They play us with this nonsense, and it's all part of a bigger puzzle. But Alex Jones has been saying this stuff for years. So much of it is true. But anybody who believes it, you're crazy. You're tinfoil hat weirdo.
But I was saying that before I even knew Alex Jones. Okay? The fact is that, when it comes to, the slippery slope that people, claimed, again, remember, I come from Canada. Well, sorry, I am Canadian, but if people want to be specific, I'm a spick. I'm a spick from Argentina, yes. The whitest of the white from South America. But, apart from my accomplishments, the bottom line is that, in Canada, they approved gay marriage, much sooner than America. American people, Danish people, all over the world were coming to Canada just to get married. But it was being said, prior to that. And I remember where people were saying, and this was that the media was labeled them Christian fundamentalists. Now, I find it funny. Use the same term on Muslims and see what happens. But, the Taliban and stuff. But, okay, Christian fundamentalists say, well, if we allow gay marriage, then eventually what they're going to try to do is to allow for pedophilia. People laughed at that shit. Where are we right now, people? Exactly there. Where the Christians, the fundamentalists, said that's the end of this. Well, that's the continuation of the slippery slope. We are there now.
I've always said toleration is the end of society. Once you start tolerating things, you have to tolerate everything. If you have to have a parade and have me celebrate your sexuality, you already know it's wrong. That is no different than if I go punch Joe in the face for something that he didn't deserve, and then I go talk to Dave and say, hey, don't you think he deserved this? I'm asking for your confirmation because even in my own soul, I know I did wrong.
Now, this graphic I'm showing right now, a little late, little old, little late. There's been an updated version because basically the next version up basically is like 2020 or something. It's like, let me fuck your kids or something. Let me transition your kids. But an old graphic nonetheless that's being displayed right now. But yes, this is basically how it started. We want tolerance. We want equality. Bake the fucking cake, bigot, or we'll fucking sue you. Despite the fact that those bakers said, well, we just don't agree with you, but, I mean, we love you as Christians because that's what we're implored to do. And we're certainly more than willing to direct you to somebody who will, bake your cake. No, I demand that you make my cake. So, this is something that people have warned about for quite some time. But tolerance, supposed tolerance, really what it is cowardice and weakness, has had all these people say, I don't want to speak up. I might sound like a bigot. Well, guess what? You've surrendered your right to have an opinion. Get to the corner and keep your eyes on the wall, because now it's time for the real people to handle this.
And this is, this is the whole point of what today's show is. There are so many things, from the agendas that they push to the school shootings, the mass shootings, the whatever that happened. All of this is strategically done. You find out, there are so many things that happen that we never hear about because they don't want you to hear about it because it doesn't fit their agenda. Whenever a black man goes and shoots up a place, well, that doesn't work in our narrative. We're going to silence that one. But this white guy does it, boom, we talk about it. Look at what we talked about on Sunday's show with Drew. Some white guy that everybody automatically assumed, he must be American. He shut up the place in freaking Copenhagen, Denmark. Mm-hmm. People, this is how stupid people are. Somebody took the time to sit there on their phone or their computer and type that out. These people have swallowed the pill. They are down for the cause. They might as well kill themselves now, because they're no good to anybody. If you are that dumb and you believe this, just go drown yourself, because I hope you don't procreate because you're too stupid to do it. And we're on the, it's as I said, we are in the birth throes of dangerous stuff here, people. You better be prepped, ready for what's coming, because food's already hard enough to get. It's going to get even harder. Dangerous times are ahead, and it's not. I said it when Trump lost the election. America has had its time in the sun. We're done. We are going down. This ship is taking on water. You better be ready. I hope you have a rowboat.
I don't want it to be that way, but unfortunately,
I don't want it either.
I think that is the way. I mean, I don't see more than 25 years before there's, and probably much sooner, that there is secession from multiple states, and that basically the union will split.
America gave up its birthright for toleration.
Yes.
That makes me
yes.
That makes
and as
me
an immigrant, again, as an immigrant, it makes me sick, because I have family that is American but wasn't born in America. But they went to America.
Right.
Why? Because that is the American dream. And they are just like me, that they can't tolerate an immigrant just waltzing in expecting to be treated like a god. No, you go into a country that is giving you the right, not the the privilege, sorry, not the right, but the privilege of being there. You have to be gracious enough to not only learn the language, learn the culture, learn the ways, but you adhere and assimilate in every single way. You shut your fucking mouth and you be a productive member of society. If not, you have no business in that fucking country.
But see, there's
and dude, and you know what pisses me off? I just gotta end it with this. I've seen Argentinians come to Canada acting like they deserve to fucking be paid by the government. I guess they got some sort of fucking fantasy told to them that it's all going to be great in Canada. No, fuck you. My parents did it right. I did it right. I know both official languages of Canada. Okay? I made that fucking effort, and I still retain my natural language of Spanish. But the bottom line is, nobody is going to dictate to old stock Canadians to change their ways while I'm fucking here.
Well, see, here's the problem. Even the American ideology that they push, give us your tired, give us your poor, give us your hungry.
That's false.
What do they want you to do?
It was never even written.
You to come. Oh, I know. But that's why I say it's ideology. They want you to come into the melting pot, not be who you are. But melt yourself with us to a complete new Frankenstein creation of something that's not even, that doesn't have a backbone, that doesn't know what it is. They don't want you to be proud of your race. They want to blend you up into some NPC of something that only exists in a 1984 book or movie, and completely destroy your identity. I'm a 7th generation Texan. I know who I am. My family was here before this was a state or a country. Okay. My people were here when this was Mexico. We fought for the freedom of this place. My family fought for the Confederate side. My family has fought almost every major war that America has ever had. Okay. I have my identity. There's a reason the Texan ideal is so ingrained into us, because we appreciate our lineage and where we came from. We see that when others don't even know what their flag looks like, we pity you. We look down upon you when you do this, because you have bought into the system. You have no pride of home. You have no pride of where you are or what you do. You just assume everything's going to be okay. The government's going to take care of you. When that's somebody like me, who grew up an hour away from Waco, Texas, at almost the same time when the tragedy down there happened. I grew up knowing what government does. It is here to do nothing but kill you. Ruby Ridge, Waco, 9/11, Vietnam, so many things this government has done. And why you trust it, I will never know. It blows my mind how you can be that stupid.
How can someone not know what their state flag looks like? That's one thing
Because
that
they're
just.
morons.
Well, I mean, there's Casey, but
I mean, I can accurately describe mine down to a T.
oh, and gentlemen, I don't know if you know what the ensign is, or at least the red ensign. Canada's old flag was not what you see right now, right? Literally, it looks like a typical British, colonial flag, which had the British Union Jack in the corner, a red flag, and a couple of symbols on there. That was Canada's flag. Apparently now, people, that is now considered a symbol of white supremacy. Because, old stock Canadians, the ones that actually fought for this, the blacks that came up in the Underground Railroad, the ones that were called loyalists. There was a big thing here. The loyalists were the ones that came up from America because, there was the Revolutionary War. They came up to Canada and they basically established themselves here and they fought against the Americans. So in Canada, they're considered, patriots and stuff. A lot of blacks, a lot of whites, but people that basically said, nope, we're not going to be part of America. We're going to be, remain part of the colonies and England and so forth. So these colonials, these loyalists, stood up to this stuff, and many of them were black, and yet it looks like they're being ignored. Also, I'm putting up on the screen. I don't know if you're monitoring the video here, but all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void, as per Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S., 2 Cranch, 137, 174, 176, in 1883.
Now, Compton, I am curious. I know you take an oath. You take an oath as a soldier, obviously to the president, but you take it to the Constitution, correct?
I swore to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic. Okay, that's where I was hoping you could go with this. So, and obviously you're still enlisted, and I'm not going to put you in a tight spot, but
I don't need to make that oath to fucking adhere to that fucking rule. Absolutely.
When you hear the things that we're talking about as a soldier, how does that make you feel? Like, what kind of position does that put you in? I'm curious.
I'm not authorized to answer that, sir. Yeah, he's got to guard his words, and we're willing to allow for him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Don't get yourself in any trouble, but in your own opinion, like the things that we're talking about, how does that make you feel? I'm curious about it.
It puts me between a rock and a hard place.
Oh man, I can't imagine. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's got to make the tough decisions, and I can't blame him for taking that stance. Go ahead. Sorry.
As a soldier and a lower enlisted one at that, all I can do is keep my mouth shut and roll with the punches. I have to do what my higher ups tell me to do and follow the orders that come down through the chain of command.
And that's why I'd be in a break for 6 months for disobeying orders and punching my superior officer.
I would have been kicked out already. I'd be in prison currently.
Yeah, I'd be in the brig with you.
Well, that's my whole thing. I mean, I was almost a soldier myself. I did everything but sign the final papers. And there was just something in me that said, don't sign that. That's a bad choice. And I'm glad I didn't.
Well, I thought I could. Sorry.
Oh, it was bad. Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, one of my best friends, he signed up, and this was in the end of 2005. So the whole Iraq, Afghanistan thing was real bad still. And my buddy came home, and I saw what happened to him and the result of it. And I'm so happy that I didn't sign up for that, because I want no part of, I feel so much sympathy for our enlisted ones like that just get thrown to the side by a system that doesn't appreciate it and looks at a soldier as nothing more than ink blot on a piece of paper, because that's all they really are.
I will say this. I did sign my very first military contract September of 99.
So you signed out of one's love for country, not because of an event, I'm saying.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. And I mean, that's admirable. I mean, I've
love
said it
of
myself.
Country. It was pretty much love of country. And I'm not going to lie, I really had nothing planned after high school. I never took the SATs, the ACTs, never went on a college visit. I had jack shit playing my senior year.
Right.
So one of my buddies had already enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. One of my good friends from back then. I'll still talk to him every once in a while now. And he, at first, tried getting me to do it. I just brushed it off. Fuck you, man. Nope, not doing it. Nope, nope, nope. Then finally, it got to be close. Senior year actually started. And my parents were cracking down on me. Joe, what are you going to do when you graduate? You're graduating the end of next year. You have to do something. You cannot just be a lump on your dad's couch. Joe, what are you going to do? So I got to thinking about it. And as much as I like this guy, his voice started echoing in the back of my head. So I went to the recruiter's office, talked to him. Next thing you know, the recruiter's at the house getting my dad to sign for me because I was still a minor at the time.
Right.
So after he signed his name on the contract.
Damn, it says not World War II.
We took it up to MEPS. I put my name on it. Into senior year, 9 days after I graduated, I was at boot camp.
I was taken in the pooper.
Oh, definitely not that.
Well, see, that's kind of where I was going with this is, there's my level of anti-government registers on the Godzilla scales. Very few scales can even register it. That's kind of how it works. And I don't trust them. I see them for what they are, or at least what my own eyes tell me. And I can't help but realize what's the bigger picture of going on. And when we look at this Georgia Guidestone thing, when we look at the current economic situation that we're in, the political situation, there is so much going on. There are so many conspiracies that will be tomorrow's news, that will be the next headlines you see on the New York Times and the Dallas Morning News, whatever, that if you talk about it right now, you're crazy, and they roll their eyes at you. But whenever it's in front of their face, Dave, like you were talking about all the pedophilia stuff, then they accept it. We're living in a world now where if you're not prepared, it's almost impossible to, because who can afford it? Luckily, I'm a veteran prepper. I've been doing this this year will be 11 years I've been prepping and putting stuff back seriously. And I'm just saving my stock for a rainy day.
Adorable.
I never have
Adorable.
to use it.
I was contacted by MUFON in 1995 to join their BBS, their bulletin board system that was only available through what? Dial-up, people. So.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, hell, I didn't even get on a computer until 2002. So I was a little
so they only got electricity at that point in your town?
Well, in 2001 is when we got the indoor plumbing. So it was a pretty good decade. So, what you got to do?
That must have been a great day.
That's had the
We
old
can finally
outhouse.
take a shit inside.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have to run from the
I
fucking pumas.
I got so tired of using all my socks as ass wiping. I got that toilet.
What, you don't get a good mail delivery there? I mean, that's what newspapers are for, right? And I've used an outhouse. I know how it goes.
Start ripping apart magazines.
Hey, man,
But,
you know what? The best part is I wipe my ass with the fucking newspaper article, and I can easily just go to the mirror afterwards and read the article again.
I'm not as big into the alien thing. I've looked into MUFON, and I know some people who are.
Hey, they contacted me, so I think that speaks a lot.
Oh, I know. That's it. But the MUFON people, there's something else. They're a kooky bunch. I tell you what, they're a whole nother slice of pie there. But
and this was before X-Files even started, just to let you guys know. So I was talking to Spooky Mulders before that was even a thing on TV. So
your average MUFON member hasn't been late since 1982, so I'm not sure if I want to associate with them boys. But,
like I said, they contacted me.
Oh, let's see. Joey Z says, my dad was crazy about me not following in his footsteps. He was drafted and never got that bad taste out of his mouth. See, I mean, Joey's right there. He knows what I'm talking about. I mean, you know, Joey, was your father in Vietnam or Desert Storm? I mean, when did he serve? Like, what was it that, which of the events left such a horrible taste in his mouth? Because there are so many stories like that of people who, like Compton,
especially those conscripted. Those are conscripted. Like, I mean, in Argentina, you know, there was conscription, and my father, you know, dealt with that too, and that also left a very sour taste in his mouth too, because it was sort of like it was forced upon you. Now, the conditions obviously weren't as good as they could be. But
apparently, Costanza's in a very similar situation. Apparently, Joey Z's father was a Vietnam vet, so God bless him. I'd love to shake his hand if I ever had the opportunity, because he got screwed. But,
y'all, I got to hop off here and go back into work.
All right. Well, it was great to hear from you, Joe.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you so much for calling. We're gonna be called. We're gonna be a new trios division. Me and Joe and Tex. We're gonna be called Rebel Country.
There you go. But you know, it's a mentality thing of these ones that are the elite, the New World Order, the Liberal World Order, whichever name you want to put on it. You can enlist any amount of names. They take the normal folk identity of one's love for country, you know, a nationalist type attitude, which why everybody's not a nationalist, I'll never know. Whether you're Canadian, American, Argentinian, German, you should love your home. It made you who you are.
Yep.
You know, it's not just an American red thing. It should be worldwide.
And I have to interject real quickly, is that I take big issue with people who want to criticize that sort of thing while using English. I don't give a fuck if you came from slave stock, because it certainly wasn't me that fucking brought you here. It was the little hats. We all know that. And you know what? You want to take an issue with that? Take it up with them. But you know what? You don't get a right to fucking speak English. Okay? Simple as that.
Well, that's the problem is, you know, much like Compton, like I said, I didn't want to paint him into a corner and get him in trouble for saying something. I would never do that. But I guarantee you, if we talk to some of these ex-vets like Joey Z's father, or if Joey were to call up, I'm sure he could tell us amazing stories about some of the things that he's been told by his old man about what the system does. Yep. It's like I said earlier, you're an ink blot on a piece of paper. They don't care about you. They're going to get you into their ranks.
Meat for the grinder. In the end, you're meat for the grinder. And that's why I love the actual troops so much, because despite the fact that
Yes.
they're willing to sacrifice themselves, they're willing to go into this, sometimes even knowing that they are meat for the grinder. And I don't agree with that because I'm, I guess the type of early 20th century American, which was, isolationist and basically saying, no, we're not going to go police the world. We're going to protect our own property, do our own thing, and everyone can fuck off.
Well, these people, it's like I said, they take one's love for country, manipulate that into you signing your life away.
Yep.
One of my favorite songs in the world is Steve Earle's Copperhead Road. And there's a line in the song that says, I volunteered for the Army on my birthday because they draft the white trash first around here anyway. There are so it's
Hold on,
everywhere.
what's that song?
It's in
I want
all.
to, you know what? That should be a good song to play out on. What's it called?
It's by Steve Earle. It's called Copperhead Road. Badass song.
Hold on, that's actually on War? I thought. Hold on, you're telling me this song Copperhead Road is based on War?
No, it's about a moonshiner, and then his son gets drafted and goes into war, and then comes home and he sells pot.
I
Is what the actual song.
never picked that shit up from that song, dude. I'm glad that you told me.
You need to watch. No, you need to watch the music video. It shows you like clips of Vietnam and him coming home. Like it's one of the best music videos.
I'm gonna have it prepped and play it at the end. I don't give a fuck if I get struck, because that's what we're gonna be showing. Because that's an interesting. point.
Like it shows, like it starts off with like a moonshiner, like back in the 40s or 50s, and then it shows like Vietnam, and it shows like basically the father in the video in the beginning was the moonshiner, that he gets popped by the law, and then the son grows up, he goes to Vietnam. That's kind of what it looks like, and then whenever he comes home, he basically plants weed seeds instead of making moonshine. That's basically what the song is about. But it's like I said, it's one of my favorites. The music video has very powerful imagery within it.
Interesting.
And,
I never fucking got it. But yeah, we're going to play that as our outro.
Well, it's right there. I volunteered for the Army on my birthday because they draft the white trash first around here anyway. I mean, it's in a lot of stuff like that. And, I've got friends who, like I said, served. I almost served myself. I used to feel guilty because I didn't, but now I'm glad that I did. And, I never felt guilty because I didn't serve because of my country. I felt bad because of my friends that did.
Yep, me too. I knew a guy that basically, as soon as out of high school, this guy was Canadian. And let me tell you, he was fucking built for it. But he went straight into the Marines, and he got in. I don't know if he ever made it out of Iraq alive, but I do know that basically he did, as soon as he was out of high school, no hesitation, straight up signed up for, and this was before 2011, or 2001, but he basically signed straight up to that shit. And that was a very striking thing. Again, a Canadian signing up for the Marines, for the American Marines. That says a lot.
Is, even you, Dave Rose, as a non-American, you love this country more than most Americans. And honestly, that makes me very sad. I got to be real honest with you about that, because there are so many people who ride a fence who don't take a stand, and they're afraid of getting took down or quieted or canceled. Hell, I can't tell you how many Twitter accounts I've had shut down because I spoke the truth. And
I was just going to here's some perspective. If it wasn't for America's valor, me as an immigrant to Canada would not have ever arrived here. Perhaps I would be speaking German in Argentina. Who knows? But I certainly wouldn't be living the life that I'm living right now, the blessed life. Even with the hardships that I face, I would certainly not want to be living in Argentina, which still touts a failed political system called Peronism, which is a combination of both socialism and Nazism, which is just insane. And they still can't get it right. And now they're selling out to China. Meanwhile, I am living blessed in a province. Look, the world is a beautiful place, but there's a reason why I was brought here. I know that for a fact. Ontario, to me, Ontario, the province, is the most beautiful place to live in. I cannot imagine myself going anywhere else, living anywhere else, and I don't want to. In fact, I will die fighting to live free in this province. And if that's what it takes, that's what it fucking takes. But I can't see myself living anywhere else. God chose this for me. I will embrace it.
As you should. Yeah, like I said,
my parents could have gone anywhere. My parents could have gone to Europe. They could have gone to fucking Australia. They could have gone anywhere. Where did we go? And I had no control of this. We went to Ontario. And this province, this land, is who I am. I know nothing but this. And this is what I will defend to the death.
I know nothing. Sorry.
I know nothing.
Flashbacks to Hogan's.
Yeah.
I was getting Hogan's Heroes flashbacks from my
I'm a little more competent than him, but.
Oh, that's fun. But, I mean, that's the whole thing is, you know, the main reason I agreed to do this podcast is not to hear myself talk, because I can talk to myself, and I often do, and it's always a great conversation. And
I didn't pay him off either, people. Come on.
I have yet to receive a dime, but donation lines are open, and I will give you my PayPal account. So, let's go. But I did this to try to wake somebody up, to try to give somebody a voice, to not be afraid, not be scared. Because, unfortunately, I don't think there's any way. The only way out of this is through the fight. You know, if you read your Bible,
yes,
you know exactly how this goes. There's no way out of this. And, it talks about in Revelation, tribulation saints. And I don't know all the exact verses and whatever. I'm not that great on it. But it talks about people that are basically warning others in the end times. And I know every generation has thought this is the end time. And everybody till now has been wrong. And hell, I could be wrong too, but I'm willing to accept that on that.
You know what? It's better to plan for the potential than it is to just say, maybe it's not this time. Well, you know what? It's better. It's just like a firearm. Maybe it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Well, and I'm not telling you to rush down to a church and get on your knees and pray your sins away. I'm talking actually go find God.
How about just fucking look at the world? How about just look at the world and see what's happening? Look into the past. Again, those that forget the past are destined to repeat it. So look into the past as to what has happened. And again, I'm not even Christian, but I think that maybe Texas is onto something here that maybe you want to be paying attention to.
If I'm wrong, what's the harm in being wrong?
There you go. There you go. Better to have it, not need it, than need it and not have it.
Like I said, I'm not telling you which Christian church to go to. I'm not telling you left, right, or center. That's your business, not mine. God bless you.
Just remember, your kids are safer with a priest than they are with a teacher. The statistics actually show that a teacher is about 5,000 times more likely to abuse your child than a priest. And we know that the priests definitely like to diddle kids. But when the teachers are fucking embarrassing them on the fucking rookie numbers, maybe you want to homeschool. Let's continue.
And that's what I'm saying. I hope my time on this show might radicalize somebody in the right way to wake up and see what's going on. Because so much of our media, so much of our youth has been led radicalized the opposite way through drag queen story time and your gay parades and the filth and everything else, that we need to call back to where we should be. Pride in one's family, pride in one's maker, pride in one's home. All of the things
culture,
that make us
pride, race. Because guess what? it ain't just for everyone but white people to be proud of the race. Because you could say
Right.
black power. Oh, that's great. Oh, you're so great.
Right.
And you say white power, and oh my God.
That's, obviously go back to that Black Lives Matter nonsense. Oh, you can't say all lives matter until Black Lives Matter.
Well, until the blacks actually show that black lives matter, black lives don't matter.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Whether it be abortions, the drive-by rates, the fucking homicides, the fact that blacks don't police themselves, which is, what normal people do because all other races do that, and say, hey, you're eating a lot of shit. You're probably going to have a heart attack. Maybe because I like you so much, you might not want to do that. And maybe you want to eat healthier. Nope. We don't see that now, do we? Even something as simplistic as saying, maybe your diet could be better improved if you were eating healthier. Let me help you out. Nope. Do we see that? Nope.
Well,
But yeah, keep telling me that Black Lives Matter when black people don't even care about that. And those that do and speak up, well, they're Uncle Toms. They're white supremacists. Again, hello, I'm black. No, you're a white supremacist. Okay.
the fact that we live in times where if you even act a certain way and you're black, brown, or purple, it can be called white supremacist tendencies is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
that makes zero.
Can't have your own mind made up. Nope, not at all. And if it coincides with people that are white, oh, clearly you're a sellout, right? You're a sellout.
Right.
You can't make up your own mind and literally come up to the same conclusion that other people do.
Look at our culture, okay? Go back to, you can't argue that Western culture has been influenced by black media for generations now. It is so bad it's to the point now where every music is basically rap. It's in everything. It's in everywhere. They push this. You can't be proud of being white. That's bad. You can't be proud of being in your home. You can't be proud of any of this stuff. You have to cuck out to this black agenda, this gay agenda, this whatever agenda we're pushing. And people out of scared white guilt or brown guilt or whatever you want to call it, that coalesce to the issue and give in because they're afraid they're going to be labeled an historianism. And they just can't have that. And so many people, including in this community, suffer from this disease, and I pity them. They want to make it popular to they want to bow down and suck the agenda's butthole because it makes them look cool. Oh, I put a Ukraine flag on my Twitter handle. Oh, I put a pride flag up, or I did this, or which agenda are we pushing this month? I can't remember, but I'm down with it. This is the kind of people that I'm talking to. They have no identities. They don't know what's right. They don't know what's wrong. And they're afraid to step out and think for themselves. So maybe you'll hear this show and you'll realize, oh, this isn't racist rhetoric. This is actual thoughts that somebody has who's put two sentences together and a couple thoughts together and came out with something. But most people are afraid to. Therein lies the problem.
I want to direct your attention to the chat, to the stream, where I've put up a graphic, which basically, let me just make it even bigger. There we go. And even bigger than that. So this is a quote by Archbishop Charles Chaput, who says something that, again, if you actually study doctrine, and again, I love to read. I love to read. I really do. I love to learn. And even if it's something that's contrary to my beliefs or whatever, I'm more than willing to consider it. What does this person say? What does this archbishop say? He says, we need to remember that tolerance is not a Christian virtue, and it is never an end in itself. In fact, tolerating grave evil within a society is itself a form of evil. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've already admitted I'm not a Christian. Not yet, at least, but it looks like it's going that way because I continue to study the doctrine, and I'm not necessarily subscribed to the whole end times thing, but there's too much stuff for someone of intellectual nature as myself to ignore. So you never know. But more importantly is that this could be stated, and in fact it has been, similarly by Buddhists, by Sikhs. Shout out to the Sikhs, love them. But a lot of other cultures in the world, which is basically the bottom line, is that again, tolerance is not a normal feature of faith. That's a new creation that's been pushed onto, current faiths. Again, why? First of all, why do you have female lesbian pastors leading a church? That's
Women should be
multiple
silent
fucking
in the
wrongs
church.
there. Go ahead.
I was just saying a direct quote from the Bible. It says women should be silent in the church, by the way.
And that the husband is the head of the household, just like Christ is head of the church. And more importantly is that if you understand female biology and nature, you understand that they're emotional. It's just the way it is. Does it make them better mothers? Absolutely. That's what, again, you might see it, okay, in one aspect, you might see it as a negative, but if you look at the other aspect, it's a positive. Okay, they're emotional. In politics, can that be bad? Absolutely. In motherhood, that's fucking absolutely positive because being emotional with your child is what they need. They need to be raised. They need to be nurtured. They need to be paid attention to, loved. Okay, nobody gives love to a child better than a mother. Okay, or at least the way a mother does. It's different from a father. But the bottom line is that a mother can only provide a unique love to a child that nobody else can provide other than a mother. Now, should they be sticking their nose into things that they're not capable of? I don't agree with that. But, that will make me sound like, oh, I'm so bad and so forth. But, I mean, biology sort of dictates this. I mean, if you're emotional, which we know, well, this is going to affect your judgment when it comes to actual situations. It might sound harsh, but it's not factually incorrect. So hate me, but don't hate the facts because you can't disprove them. Please continue.
Well, one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible, it comes out of Revelation 18 verse 4. It says, "And I heard another voice from heaven say, Come out of her, my people, that ye not be partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." Basically, for the non-King James readers, it means don't be of this world. Separate. Do not tolerate this nonsense. Separate yourself from it. So much to the point where you don't accept the nastiness and the filth. So, the whole wheat from the chaff kind of thing. And you need to be able to be visibly identifiably different from the filth and the trash of this world. Otherwise, look at Sodom and Gomorrah. That place was salted and burned to the ground. This is what's happened, is what's going to happen here. In the state of California, they were down with pedophilia laws. This is where we're at. It's no wonder everything's happening the way that it is. Our country is nothing but filth. We tolerate everything. We promote lifestyles. We put up rainbow flags. The rainbow was a symbol from heaven, a holy symbol.
That's why they twisted it. That's why they chose that.
Filth.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly what it is. All of these agendas.
It's a spell casting as well. People understand this. You might not believe it, but they do. They actually believe in spell casting, and you can tell it from the way they conduct themselves. Again, like I said, you might not believe, but literally they are casting spells.
That whole debate that Drew and I have had back and forth have mentally ill adopted LGBT blah blah blah, or is the gay already mentally ill? I still stand firm on my belief and my argument of it makes no sense to be gay. You have to be messed up completely in the head to want to live this lifestyle.
Well,
you were made of God. You were made from a holy being. God never made one gay person ever. Are there some mentally retarded, ill folks that might identify as something because it's trendy? Sure. It's as I said last night. There's no reason why both theories can't coincide with one another. But I still think my theory is more true than the other side. Because when you look at, I watched video today, dude, and this isn't even Pride Month anymore, of some nasty filth tranny fest or something going on, where a little, probably 4 or 5 year old girl was walking around with some who knows what stripper.
Oh, I saw that fucking. That's disgusting. I fucking. Ugh.
I wanted to burn stuff down when I saw this. I wanted to vomit, take that poor child to a nice, safe place away from these devils, and do horrible things to everybody else involved there.
I would. If I was half the man I was last year, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. No, absolutely. I totally agree. Like, seriously, I got the same vibes. I was just like, let's get the kids out, and then let's have some fucking fun.
Let's save the children, and then let's go roast some marshmallows.
Absolutely. Roast the fruits.
Right. Doesn't everybody like a toasted banana? I mean, isn't that how it works? So, but they have literally infected every piece of our society to the point where they're literally feeding our children to devils, to monsters. And when to kind of tie it all back to the beginning of the show here, you have the Georgia Guidestones right there, where it literally says, keep population under 500. Like I said, what better way than let's go gay? Because, we don't have to be the Nazi eugenicist anymore.
Exactly. God, people, listen to this man. He knows what he's fucking talking about. This is the key. You don't need the fucking evil agenda no more. You got the fucking influence of the narrative to convince people to not breed and to purposely degenerate their own fucking culture and society.
I'll take it a step further, Dave Rose. What better way than to push self-eugenics than, have you ever thought about a vasectomy? How about birth control?
Yes!
You know what I'm saying? I mean, to the uneducated, they may think, I can have all the sex that I want. I don't have to worry about it. When in reality, you're killing your bloodline.
Yes. People don't understand that. Your bloodline, people, do you not have any connection to your blood, to your line, to your people, to your tribe? Well, if you want me to pull up the stats, it seems like white people seem to be the last when it comes to actually appreciating that. Well, every other race will say, no, our race is more important than even our nationality. And they say this while being an American.
Well, between the mixing of bloodlines, which, realistically, there's not any of us these days that aren't mixed. I mean, hell, I have some Indian. It's not enough to get free college or free money, so who gives a crap? But
well, the black supremacist dude, because they apparently say, we were stolen from Africa. Meanwhile, they're chasing after white girls. I'm sorry, if you and you're already mixed as it is, so you're not 100% black, and stop pretending that you are, which is the pathetic thing. But okay, well, then why do you continue to diminuate and diminish your bloodline? Okay, you're a stolen African, right? You were taken from Africa. Okay, fine. Don't you want to go back there and, make sure that you're again, this is something that, again, white people don't seem to understand, but many other races do, is that your tribe, your race, your people means a lot more than a fucking nationality. So you're willing to fucking water down your fucking genetics? For what? For what?
There. I always grew up hearing the three most valuable things in your life is your God, your home, and your last name. And what they meant by that last name part was not the physical name in and of itself, but what that name represents, that bloodline.
What
that
bothers me
family
is the
lineage,
hypocrisy. Sorry,
history.
I got to fucking
Oh, go
unleash
ahead.
on this. It's the hypocrisy. It's
Listen.
like, oh well, white man stole us, blah blah blah. They owe us reparations. Well, first of all, you were freed. The reparations alone on that is about 500 billion, but we can keep counting. And if you want, basically blacks owe whites about 500 trillion dollars, considering how much money they got, and that includes, and this is a fact. The support, the what's it called, the government support that they've given to African countries and stuff. But again, this whole idea of like, oh well, you stole us from Africa, and yet you're mixing with white people. Don't you want to keep your line pure? I mean, like again, your line was diminished by being stolen from Africa. Why would you want your people's line, your bloodline, to be diminished by doing that when you claim white people are so bad? And then you claim, and this is usually the answer from these black supremacists, oh, well, we're taking your women. Okay, well, I don't want any women that are fucking dealing with you, but okay, you take them. Fine. How does that help your bloodline, though? How does it help your tribe, your people, your lineage? No, all you're doing is watering it down. Don't you want to make sure that you only hook up with the people of your lineage, your tribe, so that you can continue that bloodline? Or do you just want to water it down because apparently you're getting one up on the whites who certainly don't want to deal with a 300-pound fucking heifer? So yeah, the blacks can have those fucking fat shits. We don't want them. Absolutely. But yeah, how does that help you? And again, I have to ask that of anybody, really, if we're going to be fair, is that if you're so positive on your tribe, on your people, don't you want to be part of your people? I mean, I'm just following it through, really. I'm just trying to follow the logic. I'm not saying, oh, you have to do this or you're bad if you did that. No, I'm literally asking, okay, if this is the premise, white people bad, and fuck white people, they're weak and stuff, caveman, fucking whatever, then why are you mixing with the whites? Why are you mixing with whites? And again, I have to ask people, who has the guts to say this shit on YouTube? On this community, other than me and Tex, who? Does it sound harsh? Probably. Maybe you're a little susceptible to this, but again, I'm posing questions that are just logical, devoid of emotion, and simply asking, okay, if you were in this position, what would you do?
Well, that's the saddest part about all of this is I have told my kids, I want you to grow up, marry somebody who treats you well, good moral value, a solid somebody who ain't gonna hit you or hurt you or cheat on you, somebody who looks like us, who thinks like us, to continue who we are. I want my great grandchildren, whenever I'm 80 years old, I want to look down and see me, see my father, my grandfather.
Exactly. Well, why is this so difficult? Why do you not want your... Yeah, go ahead.
It's not a hate thing. It's not I don't want to blah, blah, blah. It's
what you're saying basically is only required for whites. Every other race totally understands it. Is basically, yes, I want my grandchildren to look like me. I want to know that my lineage, all the effort that I've done, and not just me, my ancestors, the one that set me on this path, I want to transfer that to my offspring, my child, and have them continue on this lineage. Is that evil and wrong? Well, I guess if you're white, it is. But if it's any other race, according to these woke people, it's wrong.
And that's the saddest part about all of this is, this even goes back to those Georgia Guidestones. Well, what does it talk about intermingling of bloodlines and everything else? Why do you think they would want that? Like, you tell me, Dave Rose, what would possess them to write something like that in multiple languages for all the world to see? Why do you think that's so important?
Because when you diversify a culture, you basically muddy up the waters, if you want to call it that. Genetically, fine, whatever. But that's what you do. And what happens then is that people are a lot more confused about what their national identity is. And more importantly, what you talked about, not as willing to support nationalism than they would normally do so. At least that's my assessment.
Of course. And, it is when you break down what's on those Georgia Guidestones, that's why I asked Compton what I did about him, to see what he had to say. Because, Compton's not the political type. I'm surprised that he even called in tonight, to be honest with you. I mean, I appreciate the call, and it's always welcome, but I'm surprised he did. And it's really, we could do a series of shows just on each of one of those lines of text there. And we would have hours of content, because every one of those things is troublesome. It's bothersome. Every one of these things has issues, because this is literally them laying out what they want this world to be. The ones that are already in charge, they have long laid these plans.
Well,
and for them to
it explains a lot why they want massive immigration into Western countries from third world shitholes.
Of course.
They're looking to try to bring in as many people as possible and normalize the idea that, it's perfectly fine that these people are literally here illegally and taking your tax money. But, you should be willing to agree and, not argue when they hold up your corner store or they try to rape you.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing, is for them to attack these monuments, whoever the they is. I believe that they is the ones that own them, because there's so many factors that go into this that don't fit, that don't make sense, that they gain more from destroying their own, just like you started off the show saying, than they do if somebody else doing it. Follow the money trail. Who benefits here? And when you combine that with this liberal world order stuff that's going on, you combine it with everything economically, socially, and politically that's happening, with the shape that the world that we're in, this is bad news. This is not good. And we are on the verge of something terrible. And if we're not vigilant, if we're not watching out and taking care of one another, we're all screwed.
It's very possible that America will slide into a civil war sooner than later. And
yes,
it would be a very bad thing, because that's the end of the Union. That's it. There's no way in hell that it will ever come back to where it was.
Go watch. I would encourage, and I always revert back to the movies as an example, because I'm a movie hound, but the Purge movies. The Purge movies start off, the first one, it's just,
you mean predictive programming? You mean preparing the public?
That's a fancy term there, Dave Rose. Where'd you learn them words at, huh?
I read books. But regardless, is that it's also very similar to the Hunger Games. This has been played out for us. It's been told what's going to happen. They've told us. They told us what they have planned.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's the whole thing is, in the last Purge movie, it was literally the Purge had gotten out of hand. All the people who liked to purge were no longer happy doing it on one day. So now the whole country had devolved into just civil war from sea to shining sea. And they literally laid all of this out intentionally because it pushes their narrative. I wanted to get into the Stranger Things thing, but I'm going to save that for another episode because this show's going a complete different way and it wouldn't fit here. But stay tuned for that one in the future. Because I kind of want to see how a few more things play out before I divulge that one. But basically, what we're dealing with here is, yes, to some, they're going to look at this and go, oh, those Georgia Guidestone things exploded. Isn't that weird? And then they never look at it again. And then you have somebody like Dave Rose and myself who look at this and go, oh, wait a minute. There's something here. I may not know exactly what, but something's going on.
Yep.
And we're going to pay attention. So if we're the ones that are paying attention, then it is our job to warn y'all. And this is what we're doing. So believe us or not, that's up to you. But I implore you to pay attention because big stuff is happening here. And when stuff like this happens, there's always something bigger that's coming behind it.
Yep.
I just ask that you get as prepared as you humanly possibly can at this point. I know it's not easy.
I've been crying for years for people to stock up, to get their ammunition, firearms, just to get prepped. And I think it's fallen on many deaf ears.
Oh, of course it has. But, I mean, we are dealing with a group that honestly, I hate to even say this stuff because I know it's true. But I think the American age is over. Our best days are behind us. I don't see any way back.
I'm in the same boat as you, man. I wish it wasn't that way, but
I don't like saying this, but if we're on the Titanic, I'm starting to see that iceberg.
It's tough medicine, but it is what it is. I mean, you can't look at what's happening right now and deny it. It would take an act of God, and God has intervened many times in the past, so you never know. But as it stands right now, it looks like Babylon is falling.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to see what we've become, but like I said, I don't think there's any way around it at this point. And hard times are coming. This Georgia Guidestones.
That's an understatement.
We're going to look at this in the future as one of the warning shots. And unfortunately, the worst of the situation hasn't happened yet. That's the problem. So I would just implore people, like I said, I'm not some crazy conspiracy theorist like a couple people were talking about. I'm going to start selling Alex Jones products. I know I sound like the dude right now. It's kind of funny. Even I laughed at it. But, we're coming to a time and place where we're going to need to be ready, folks. So I hope you are.
And more importantly, and you were talking about this, but you're talking about this, but sort of alluding as well. But again, be right with God. Now, there might be those that don't believe. That's fine. I'm perfectly cool with you. But be right with yourself then, if that's the case. Be right with the universe. Be right with understanding there are going to be things that are going to be coming that you're not necessarily prepared for, or at least are going to be abundant. And you have to be right with yourself to understand that if you're going to be able to survive this, that you need to have the confidence and preparation already necessary to survive it. Because if not, you're not right with yourself, you're not right with God or the universe, whatever. And, it's going to be something that is going to be difficult to deal with. So be prepared, however it is, but more importantly, spiritually, personally, whatever it is that you want to call it. Understand that you need to be confident in yourself, understanding what hardships you will be facing in the future.
You know, we're there. It is, I mean, there have been many before us that I've tried to warn that the end is nigh. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to that.
And neither of
And
us owe anybody anything. We do this because
no,
we
I
think
mean,
we want to. Well, because we want to
right,
and because we think that it's necessary, but we
right.
don't
I mean,
owe anybody anything.
we could just easily hang up this phone and say, "Fuck y'all, we're done." But we're not. We're taking hours out of our day to try to maybe explain some of this, wake somebody up. If you already believe this, share this with somebody who doesn't.
Exactly.
They may call you crazy, or they may go, "Hey, them two some bitches on there, they sound a little crazy, but you know what? I don't think they're wrong." You know, we don't know. So it's we're getting that. I'm going to use a cowboy term here, but we're getting at a nut cut. This is what we're coming down to. And, big stuff's happening. We're seeing our ways of life be destroyed every single day. And if we don't act, there's not going to be anything left. I don't want to see this happen, y'all.
Neither do I.
Our generations have already made up our minds. We need to save the children here. This is what this is ultimately about, because the other side is trying to pollute, corrupt, and if this liberal world order, whatever name they put on it, gets put into place, we're all done. We're screwed.
And again, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. Literally, there's been times where a small town, it was announced they were going to have a drag queen story hour crap at a library, and there were so many calls to the city, not the threats that the media try. Oh, so many threats that no. They literally called up their representative of City Hall and said, "Look, you do this shit, you're out next fucking election. Or we're going to fucking petition your house. We're going to do everything." The law, under the law. So what happened to these places? These little fucking drag, queen, whatever, story hours were canceled because the people showed their power. The only way, people, the only way for you to remind those who have the privilege, not the right, the privilege to serve you, is to tell them you will suffer grievous problems if you continue on your ways because you represent us. If you don't have the guts to do that, you don't deserve to have a political voice. Meanwhile, people like me and Tex, I'm sure that we would do some creative things to have them understand that, no, we pay your bills, you do what we say, and if you want to deviate in the slightest from that, we're going to remind you how easy it is to dispose of you. After all, under Magna Carta, which is what common law is based in America and Canada both use, is that any government that is ruling illegally over its citizens themselves have the lawful and legal right to overthrow the government in whatever way they require, peacefully or not peacefully. Please continue.
Yeah, hard to argue with that because, we've been through revolution before, and I reckon we hadn't seen our last one because I know a whole lot of people are getting real tired of putting up with nonsense. And unfortunately, these people who think they're in charge, the one that push the new pronouns and the new lifestyles, they're going to be real shocked whenever they find out what reality actually is. Because, they might be kissing your butt right now, but history proves they're a they're here for us. They're here for a season. They're not here for the long term. They
Well,
don't control this board.
now that you bring that up,
So,
I do have to say that my pronouns are eat and me. So
well, mine are fuck and you. So there you go. It matches real well. So take that for what you will. But it's what we're dealing with here. It's not going to go away. It's not going to be easy. They're not going to go quietly into the night as we would all prefer.
no, the line is drawn.
What?
The line is drawn. Okay, the bottom line is, people, regardless of what you believe, the end is nigh. Okay, and even if it's not the physical end, there is a change in the cycle. If you want to go more esoterically, fine. But the fact is that there will come a time very soon where this shit will no longer be tolerated, and journalists will be fearing to walk the streets because they were guilty of subversion. But those that attempted and publicly admitted, and I can show you the screenshots of this, where these individuals said they will purposely groom children, they're not going to be safe at all. And it's not going to be transphobia that's going to have them literally, crucified, on a tree and burning alive. Okay? Because at that point, when civil war happens, good luck getting the cops called out for a supposed hate crime when the entire neighborhood knows that this fucking piece of shit was trying to groom the entire fucking neighborhood of kids. No, they're going to watch there, and they're going to enjoy the barbecue of the pedophile dressed in a fucking dress, claiming they were a woman, although they're a man, crucified on a tree as they burn. So again, if you don't think that's going to happen, people, I guess you haven't studied enough. But I suggest you prepare. Get your ammunition. Get your food. Get your supplies. You're going to need it. Tex? Handing it off to you, Tex. Is Tex muted? Hello? Tex, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was on mute. No, I was saying I'm reading through the comments here, and Costanza says that he was never taught about the guide stones in school.
Nobody
And
would
I'm
teach
not
you in school
surprised
about that
at
shit.
all.
I had to learn that shit on the internet.
Right. This is stuff that you have to go looking for. You have to find somebody who already knows. Because what you, and I'm just going to, I don't know anything about you, Costanza. I'm just going to assume you have the typical public school education. They're fed an agenda that it's just like George Carlin said in that bit. They want you just smart enough to know how to work the machines, but not smart enough to overthrow them. That's what they're aiming for with this. And, you have to seek truth. You have to seek wisdom. So many people don't even know what those words mean. And that's the biggest problem here is, Joey Z, look at, once again, there's another person that has never heard of these things. Y'all need to look into this stuff.
Yeah, but we don't blame them either, because the thing is, though, this is this is purposely obfuscated.
Yeah.
It's purposely hidden, and nobody's obviously going to mention this shit. But when you start to look into this, you see how nefarious it is, and you wonder again, like you guys are saying, why the fuck was this never even taught to me? Why? Because they want you to stay ignorant, and more importantly, because this is how they do their spell casting. You got to understand, you might not believe it, but they do. They conduct actual spells. What does that mean? When you tell your subject that you're conducting a spell and they don't object, that allows for the spell to actually come to culmination. What they're doing with these sorts of spells is exactly that. Nobody's blaming you, but the fact is, as ludicrous as it might sound, this is exactly what they believe. So forget about us. That's what they believe.
Right. There are so many things that you can study, so many places you can go to and learn. I want this show to radicalize the youth, the unintelligent about this stuff. That the truth is out there, and I know that's the tagline for the X Files, which was a great show. You should go back and watch because
I've been watching that show actually as of late, to be quite honest.
it's a great show. You should check that out as well. But yesterday's conspiracy theories are today's news, unfortunately.
Yes,
and it's time to wake up, people. I mean, if you don't, nobody else will. I mean, I don't really know how else I can say it or what else I can do to illustrate that point, because we're dealing with bad people and bad times, unfortunately, and we need to wake up. So, if there's any comments, questions, y'all let us know in the chat.
Skype lines do remain open, but I guess we're going to be wrapping it up because Tex is going to have to leave at some point in the near future.
I'd be happy to. I've got about 20 minutes. Any
all right. Well, you people are lucky then. He's willing to give you 20 minutes. So why you're not calling in is beyond me, because you got the man himself who needs no introduction, Tex, and he's willing to fucking answer your questions. Again, I'm also willing to answer your questions, but apparently I'm second rate on my own show. But that's fine. Just call in.
Neither of us is second rate toward anywhere or anything. So, it's all good. But, it is what it is. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of shows that we come out of this. Once again, I just want to reinstate. Don't know if this will be a weekly thing. I'm trying to make it that way, but, life happens. So, but, when something like this Georgia Guys Thumbs thing comes out, both Dave and I knew that this needed to be talked about, and all the things that we got into, because we know what the importance of it is. So, for people like Costanza, Joey, I hope that this wakes you up a little bit to everything else that's out in the world, because it's not all puppy dogs and kitty cats, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we also talked about other stuff that we're unrepentant on, and I think it should be understood by people, is that I don't think that anyone should think either of us is hateful. But that's the thing that people need to understand, which they don't, I guess, through statistics. But statistics, there we go. Casey right now. Is the fact is that just like every other group out there, Tex and I love our own. We love our own people. We want to see them survive, do well. Not at the expense of anyone else, but because we love our own people. Okay, everything else is inconsequential compared to that. Meanwhile, that's called white supremacy. It's okay for blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans. That's fine. But we're being criticized and stuff. And more importantly, I think it's important for people to understand is that talking about this stuff, first of all, to have the courage that both Tex and I have, not to honk our horn, but honk honk. It takes understanding that you could be canceled, your channel could be destroyed. And again, this is airing on my channel, and if it aired on his Texas channel, it would also probably be destroyed. But the bottom line is that this has to be discussed. Somebody has to have the guts to fucking discuss this stuff. We're not talking out of hate. There's no blacks allowed or Irish when it comes to fucking a sign on our door here to fucking call in. So clearly we're not discriminating. And again, we're talking about things that people don't have the courage to discuss or are too scared to. We're not going to acquiesce to that anymore. We know the importance in this life. We know that things are not as we are being told. And perhaps the end is sooner than later. And as such, it's time to just give up. It's time to give up on living a lie. Stop trying to address people's feelings. Address yourself. Address your people, your tribe. Do what is right for yourself and don't look to others to criticize and say, oh, well, you're doing that for your people, but other people can do that themselves.
We do have a comment from MK3 Kratos. He says, in Rage Against the Machine's song Wake Up, when they mentioned King was assassinated by the government because he spoke out against Vietnam. Do you believe that to be true? See, Martin Luther King, he deserved, I don't know about Dave, but I can tell you from my viewpoint, Martin Luther King wasn't as pure as everybody wants him out to be. You need to do some real research.
You're being a pussy. You're being a pussy, Tex. You're being a pussy because the fact is, Martin Luther King was a rapist. In fact, he partook in watching the rape of a woman by multiple individuals. I believe one instance was 3. I believe there was another instance of 6. But yes, also, I Have a Dream that was plagiarized. His doctorate provided to him on false premises. This guy was one of the biggest frauds ever. Now, Malcolm X, that man I respect, because despite my differences on him when it comes to many political things, he knew it right. He knew the Democrats, all they were doing, and he called it straight out. He called it straight out. He basically said the Democrats are basically using the blacks as voters, and none of you are fucking seeing this shit. He called it out. Was he more militaristic? Well, you could call it that way, or maybe you could call it nationalistic, tribalistic, but he was looking out for his own people. He called it out. Unlike fucking Martin Luther King, Malcolm X fucking saw this shit, called it out, and unfortunately, he paid the price for it. But if you really want to rock your brain, and I suggest you do, check out Martin Luther King meeting and speaking with George Rockwell. For those that don't know, George Rockwell was I guess you could consider the leader of the Nazi Party of America after World War II. So there was a Nazi Party in America after World War II. Mm-hmm. This guy would dress up in, Nazi regalia and stuff, but yet, and again, blow your fucking minds, dudes and dudettes, because you really got to check this shit out. Check out the conference between Malcolm X and George Rockwell, where literally you've got black supremacists, Black Panthers, and you got white, National Socialist Nazis. And they're all in the same place. Nobody's killing nobody. And they're all fucking having this conference. It'll blow your fucking mind. And what they talk about and who's responsible. Hey, if these two parties can get together, maybe you've been lied to since World War II.
Well, since he wants to bring up rock singers, we should never, ever, ever play Bruce Springsteen's "Born in the USA" for anything patriotic ever again.
No, that was actually
actually listened to that song. You would never listen to it again.
It's anti-American, to be quite honest. It's actually trying to complain about like, oh, America's so bad, they go over here in this. It's not like, oh, I was born in USA and I love it. No, but was it Real American? Now that's a fucking real American song.
Oh, Hulk Hogan song?
That's right.
How can you not hear that song and you instantly just do?
No, my arm automatically goes up. My hand just flips around and it just goes to my ear, and I lean over to the side. It just, as soon as I even think about that, that's what happens.
See, well, that's funny because whenever Casey hears that song, his heels click together and his right hand goes in the air. But that's for a totally different reason. So, what are you gonna do? But oh, hey, I see we got Derailed News and Podcast in the chat. What's up? You missed us talking about our mental illness, homosexual debate.
Let me just summarize for Drew. You missed us disproving your statement that it's the mentally ill joining the LGBTQ plus exclamation mark, smiley face, upside down, question mark.
Cash, so it's all good.
But yeah, we disproved you, so it's fine, Drew. But yes,
you've been It's all good. But yeah, no, it's,
And again,
there are
Skype
so
lines
many
remain
things.
open. It's very strange that nobody's had the guts to call in. I would have thought that somebody would have. But again, two masculine men like ourselves, I'm sure it intimidates both men and women. Just that the T level on this call alone is just like, it's just shooting up into the atmosphere. So, I can understand that. But hey, we're friendly. We won't bite unless you ask.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's, like I said, I've been a conspiracy theorist all my life. Same
You
with
mean a
David.
reality
It's
theorist?
like you said earlier. He was.
I refuse to
use
take
these
that.
terms because
Sorry,
See,
I have to
no.
interrupt you. I have to
I
interrupt
wanted
you.
to
We don't say the C word here.
What?
It's an like yes, we the some people know what it is, but the fact is that it's an insult to us because there's no fucking conspiracy when two people are involved in shit. You know what? We're factual theorists, and that's it.
Of course. Well, we know that. I just like using the term as kind of like I thought you did that. I've always kind of looked at it that way.
Okay.
But it's a we both come from similar backgrounds of questioning things, looking at things from just a little background on me. I have never felt like I fit in wherever I was. I always looked at society and the world like I was out of the box, and I didn't even realize it until I matured and I grew into my own, and then I realized what I was, because I truly believe that I was born to do what I'm doing here, to look at things from an opposite perspective, to speak out on them. Because, as you just said, we've got the testosterone and the balls to speak up, no matter what the consequences may be. Cancel us, block us, do whatever you need to do. Who really gives a crap? It's not like I want to talk to those people anyways.
I can separate myself emotionally from situations, and I can do just the numbers.
Right.
And the fact is, there is no logical sense for us to be here right now if it wasn't for a purpose. That's as simple as I can put it. Okay? The math fucking plays out. You don't want to believe it? That's fine. There's no... you want to talk about, a spiritual, version? Fine. God chose us to be here at this time. As crazy as that sounds, as crazy as this fucking world is, there is a reason that we are all existing at this point, at this time of tribulation. Like you said, there's a reason that we're all here to witness this. There's something that we have been tasked with. Something. I don't know, but all I can do is try to live as best as I can and try to live to that word. And we're literally being tasked. We are being given that opportunity. And I can't make it simpler than that. But again, this goes beyond a lot of people's minds because, until you're willing to literally just open yourself up, you'll never understand basically, I guess, what Tex and I are talking about. And again, I'm not talking about proselytizing. I will fucking debate, these people that go to fucking third world countries as missionaries to try to convince people, oh, we'll give you water if you convert. No. That was never the fucking point. That's not how you fucking preach the word. That is not. And again, it seems to be that I'm a better interpreter of theology than a lot of people are. But regardless, that's not what it was meant to be. And again, you don't need to be pushed to God. All you need to do is be presented and make your choice yourself. And again, you don't have to, people, listen to me. You don't have to accept what I'm saying. You don't have to believe what I believe. But the thing is, though, you are free. You were born free from the moment you took your first breath, from the first time that you were incepted. You were free. Nobody dictates to you. Not any man-formed government, nothing. Okay? Don't believe in God? That's fine. But guess what? Okay, next up, the universe. Has the universe ever imposed any rules on you? Any fucking man-made laws? No. Okay? Remember, the government isn't your friend. I'm done.
See, MK3 Kratos brings up an interesting point here. He says, George Floyd was in a homemade porno a few years ago before he died. So is the cop going to be charged with killing a celebrity in the porn industry?
Yeah, they both worked together at the same club. There was again, it was a false well, let's call it a strange incident. That's what we call them here on the show.
Just look into the tattoos that George Floyd had on his body and start there.
Well,
So
yeah,
you'll figure it
Freemasonry
out.
and stuff, but also, some of those disappeared depending on the photos that were supposedly presented. But hey,
Right. I mean,
depends on your
how
memory.
for somebody who can't breathe, how do you scream for 15 minutes straight? I could go figure that one out. But that's beside the point.
And
So,
okay,
like I said-
again, also, why is it that he was dealing with fake money when counterfeit money when allegedly him and Chauvin were working at the same place where it was literally busted a few months after his death with dealing with falsified money. So maybe he took some money from that operation that he was supposed to be guarding, and it was realized that a loose end needed to be tied up. Is that so difficult for people to understand?
Well, I think for a lot of people, the red pilling process is hard at first, and then as you go, it gets a little bit easier. But I think for so many people, especially with the ouchie 19 kind of thing, or however you word it on your channel, I already forgot.
Yeah,
Pokey
okay.
or whatever.
The
Whatever.
pinchy.
Sure, pinchy. Yeah, the pinchy 18 plus 1, we'll call it.
18 plus 1, I love it.
The pinchy 18 plus 1 deal. I think for so many people, they were bought hook, line, and sinker, even though they knew it was bullcrap, but they couldn't let it go because their own ego would not let them admit the truth, that they were deceived, that they were played through everything that happened. And I think that's a lot of I think that happens a lot with others as well, because when you see these long-held beliefs of, 9/11 was an inside job, or the JFK theory. I still want to do that show with Drew, you, and I on the whole JFK
Yes,
thing.
we got to definitely cover the JFK thing. I got
that
so
will be
much.
a master class. I am keeping all that powder dry for that
Yes.
show, Drew. So
so much.
Once all three of us are able to do that, we need to that can be a whole Patreon series.
It's going to have to be, because I don't think Drew can cover, things as long as we can.
No.
But I could get 12 hours on that fucking shit. No fucking problem.
I mean, there is so much there that we can dive into and just tear it up, man. Because I guarantee you, there's a lot of people in this YouTube realm that we all hang out in that need to be woke up more than, AEW is better than WWE. Oh, no. Fuck that shit. Who cares about that wrestling nonsense? This stuff's way more intriguing, important, and fun to talk about. So forget about your nonsense wrestling. Watch that in your own time. We're here to do grown people stuff.
That's right. Absolutely right. Now,
it's all good.
We got Bullseye, who just popped back into the chat. So what does Bullseye have to say about this matter? Or whatever matter?
Well, actually, you're talking about JFK, right?
Well, we're talking about it because we want to talk about it on Drew's show, because Drew's wanted to talk about it for quite some time. And Tex and I have a little bit of knowledge on the matter. But do you really want to ruin it by bringing it up now? Or I don't know what you want to know, because I'd rather, give my knowledge out to those on his show. I don't know if he's going to put it behind a paywall, but, I don't know if I want to, share this with everyone. I want to make a good show. Look at that.
Well, here's what I know about John F. Kennedy being assassinated. I heard was actually by the FBI, somewhere around those lines, and then framed another man for doing the assassination attempt, which I don't know his name, but that's the extent of what I know.
Well, then you're going to fucking love the show. Because if Drew wants to fuck around and not find out, I guess that's how it's going to be. Hopefully Drew is watching so that he can hear that. But yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be me and Tex, I'll certainly fucking do it with me and Tex, and we'll certainly fucking blow your fucking mind. But Drew, you gotta fucking contact us and get this shit going because come on, man.
See, no,
because we'll go without you. We'll go without him.
I'm going to make an executive decision here. I want this to be that trios thing that we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
I want to see what he knows about
Well, then he
this.
needs to shake his ass and he needs to get his ass in motion. But
So,
Bullsy.
Drew didn't get me anything for my birthday yet, so he can give us a JFK 3 or 4 episode series. That's what he can give.
Well, I can't remember the last time I got a donation from Drew or Bullsy for that matter. But no, the fact is, Bullsy, yeah, I've got a lot. Like, look, I've talked about this in the past. Now, I've dealt with somebody who has worked with James Fetzer. Now, James Fetzer is a very intelligent individual who has done breakdowns on the JFK assassination. He's provided a lot of fucking evidence, and all I could say really is that I've got some information that most people don't. And I've sort of alluded to it and stuff. But regardless is that, if you want to learn a little bit, check that out. But more importantly is that, Tex and I, and maybe if we can get Drew, are more than willing to talk about this. And it goes so much deeper than just the FBI. So much deeper that it will blow your fucking mind, dude. Because once we connect the dots for you, actually, I don't think we need to connect the dots for you. We're just going to have to put it out there, and everyone will be able to realize where the dots connect themselves. And once they do that, they'll see how big this fucking thing is.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the FBI has always been corrupt back in the day.
This is huge, though. This is beyond the FBI, man. This is huge. It's huge. It's huge.
Okay, take your word for it. Here's what I want to say about
Trump.
this.
It's very terrible.
To talk about though, when I talked about on my channel about the impeachment trials in 2022 during Donald Trump, they impeached him on 3 things. 1, investigating Hunter Biden, trying to get Ukraine to investigate Hunter Biden. 2, the big lie. And 3, the insurrection on January 6th. I was talking about those 3 of how they're not actually talking about the simple facts that they're not bringing up and ignoring. That video, that whole stream got taken down.
Really?
Yeah.
It
was only 6 viewers in total, but my stream got taken down by YouTube saying misleading information. Now,
that's unreal. That's unfucking. It's just like, Epstein's been arrested, or that's misleading information. Fucking unreal.
Yeah, one of the things I
had
actually
a whole podcast that it was just a voice podcast. It wasn't even on YouTube, and we did an episode about a organization that is only 1 letter. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of a conspiracy type organization. But either way, we had our entire catalog pulled down because of what we were talking about a year and a half ago. So the silencing is real. I mean, they don't play with this kind of stuff. I mean, who knows what they'll do with this? Who knows? But it's crazy.
Yeah, but one of the things I brought up was you remember if you read the video phone call Trump put out with the Ukrainian leader, and they tried to impeach him on that. What I brought up was Nancy Pelosi actually flew over to Ukraine several times to have meetings with the leaders in Ukraine about Donald Trump himself. So there's a hypocrisy there for one. So who knows what she was talking about? Yet they don't ever bring that up. And 2.
Well, Nancy Pelosi is one of the most protected ones because she's one of these slave owners of this organization that is currently we're dealing with. She's untouchable. Look at what's happening with her husband right now. You can't mess with somebody like that.
Yeah. I always considered her like a mob boss. Like, you don't fuck with the mob boss. So she
I just
does
consider her a drunk piece of crap, but that's for a different point. It is what it is. Though.
I consider her a walking target. I mean, what were you saying? So I think we got a connection from another show. I don't know.
Oh, weren't you saying that you like puppies and chocolate ice cream? That's what I heard.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. So, tell me, Mr. Bills, what is your go-to conspiracy theory? Like, what brought you into this? Like, what kind of opened your eyes? I'm always interested in that stuff.
Okay, like the political system as a whole?
No, whatever.
Well, no, like, which conspiracy, like, were you like, whoa, I need to look into this? Like, what was your, like, virgin experience with the conspiracy?
Well, I would have to say when I was like 15 years old is when I was hearing all this bullshit about Trump, but is when I started to look into things a lot more frequently because there was, this was stemmed from Trump as a bad person, this, that, and I was in the belief of that. But once he won and started fulfilling some of his promises, he actually started, doing things he said he would get done. Granted, he may not be perfect, but he's a leader I can respect. Something like that. So that's what kind of made me look into things a lot more than the average person. So that was just kind of.
So have you dived into I'll just list off a few and tell me if you ever like 9/11.
9/11. I dove into that several times along with my father, and here's what I know: the buildings were supposed to go down either way, whether the attacks were going to happen or not. They just kind of used the quote-unquote 9/11 attacks to bring those buildings down. Now, there's several flaws into that, and several chemists actually wanted to investigate that because the way the buildings were crashed into was at the top, right? 3 buildings went down that day. They never talked about that, but I heard there was more than 2 buildings, way more. But either way, let's stick to
there was World Trade Center 7, I believe.
But when hold on, I want to know when specifically did you learn that? Because obviously, first of all, clarify for us. In the year 2001, how old were you?
1 year old.
Okay, so basically, how long was it until you learned about Building 7? That there was a 3rd building that went down without being hit?
2012.
Okay, so basically you were 11, I guess. And
something like that. I was more 12, but yeah.
Okay, so you at that point, it hit you. Hold on. This big event that everyone said was bad, but there's this 3rd building now that wasn't hit, and it just goes down in its own fucking form. So that's what happened?
Yeah, but I was called an idiot and
by who?
Shut the fuck.
Hold on, by who?
Everybody in the classroom and the teacher, so yeah.
That's hilarious because by 2005, I had my friends fucking joking about because I already, was straight up, I'm Dave Rose. So I was just like, nope, this is what it is, and this is what happened, and they started to joke about I can't remember what one of the jokes they were using about well, it certainly wasn't Bin Laden that took down the towers or something along those lines, or, involving Bush or something like that. So, I find it very comical and interesting that even in 2012, you were dealing with people that were sort of scoffing and dismissing what you were saying when by 2005, I'd already fucking dispelled all the dissenters and showed them, hey, this is the proof that I've seen. Yeah, 4 years after the event, okay, fine. But by that point, it was evident. 11 years afterwards, and these people still don't get it, and they ridiculed you in front of everyone in class, I would have burned that place to the ground.
Well, it was a middle school, and it was a public place, so yeah.
Well, then again, what's the loss? Burn it to the ground.
Yeah, but in 2015, I started to look into things more, and I wanted to go back to the 9/11 part. So when I was shown that clip again, and everybody was like, yeah, it burned so hot that the buildings had to collapse all to the ground, disintegrated, I was like, No.
Well, if
No.
you really want to go into this, I'm going to let you talk, but I'm also going to start to show graphics on the screen, which will sort of illuminate what you're talking about. So please continue as I show these images and blow people's minds.
So here's what I know. No matter what somebody tells me at this point, you're not going to convince me there's only 2 buildings that went down. There was 3. So no matter
There
what
were.
also you say about the buildings burning so hot that the buildings just disintegrate. First of all, heat rises. So when it crashes to the top of the building, the fire isn't just going to spread to the bottom because it was not even spread to the bottom. It was going up, and it was at the top of the
Have
building.
you heard? Have you heard the interview that President Trump was doing prior? Obviously, he wasn't president yet, but it was on the morning of 9/11. I believe he was talking to either the Today Show,
I
one of
saw
those
it.
morning shows,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about how he heard explosions in the bottom of the World Trade Centers before everything went off. Have you looked into the maintenance that was done, where they were putting literally flammable paint on the walls? I mean, have you looked into any of these avenues?
No, what I know is that these were kind of just pre-planned attacks and used
1000s.
as, yeah, that's all I know. And when I looked at these again and again and again, it was like, this shit doesn't make sense no matter
Well,
what.
Are you paying attention to the graphics there in the chat there? Sorry, in the stream?
No, I should look at them, I guess.
You should be. You should be.
Yeah, look at the.
So there's that. And I'm going to
World
transition now.
World Trade Center 7 was never hit with anything. And there is footage of, I believe it's from the BBC. I believe it's the news channel where and there's a woman
It
reporting
is the
where she's saying,
BBC. Yep.
the building's coming down right now. And she says it before you ever hear a boom or anything else.
You
and
see
then
it behind her.
seconds after she says it, behind her. in
No,
the
actually,
background,
not seconds.
the
It literally
walls.
was a minute maybe before it finally came down. But literally, she's doing a
Yeah, it was
broadcast
very
in front of
close.
the building, and it's still behind her and perfectly fine. Also, check out the chat there. Or sorry, the stream with the graphics of what are that? Oh, squibs, people, squibs.
Well, and to kind of divert from the World Trade Center thing, but it's still a 9/11 thing. Whenever I was in high school, I started high school in 2002, and I graduated in 2006. We took a history trip to Washington D.C. and we got to go to all the buildings and everything else, right? And they took us to the Pentagon, where in the room allegedly where the plane crashed into. They show, if you look at the Pentagon, it's multiple layers that are separated from one another. I think it's 3 or 4 layers deep. I can't remember.
Glad you
exactly.
bring that up. I'm going to show a graphic right now.
They say that the plane penetrated 1 and 3, but somehow 2 stood. Can anybody with a physics degree or anything else explain to me how that works?
I don't need a
How
physics
this
degree. I
player-
understand physics, and I can basically disprove it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's all bullcrap. I mean, I stood in the room where allegedly, the Pentagon attack happened, where it makes no sense. All of this was done strategically. It was done on purpose. George Bush is not the lovable, all shucks, good old Texas country boy that he pretended.
He was
to be.
born in Tennessee,
Bushes
anyways.
Everyone from the Bush family are war criminals. They have direct ties to the Bin Laden family. To
If
the
I can
Clinton
direct
family,
your attention to
all
the
of these.
stream, we have an actual image of a painting that was made for Jeffrey Epstein, which he hung, I believe, in his New York office. Just like the Bill Clinton image of him wearing a blue dress, which is the one that got come on and he got in trouble for.
Yeah. He's
But
wearing
yeah,
that blue dress, and I believe it's the red high heels. It's disgusting.
Yep, and this image actually was on a painting that was in Jeffrey Epstein's New York office. So tell me, why is he holding one of two paper planes in front of two destroyed Jenga block buildings. And he has that little typical devilish smile on his face.
Yeah.
You tell me, people.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? When I got into debate with several people, they actually tried to compare buildings falling to Jenga Fest. Falling, so it was like
To what?
to Jenga Fest. Falling to a building to Jenga
Okay.
Fest.
Here's another
So-
image of Building 7 after the main buildings fell. It was still standing, but it would fall obviously later on that afternoon when they announced that they were going to pull it. Again, they're going to pull it. But there it is, that building amongst the rubble, the asbestos and cancer-inducing dust from that detonation. That if you look into this, Operation Plowshare was an American operation that was set up specifically to utilize nuclear weapons for domestic and peaceful methods, and that included taking buildings down. Now, developing such a big building in a metropolitan area, it's not that easy to bring it down. It was packed with asbestos. It already had been told that this thing would take way too much money to actually retrofit it and take out all the asbestos. But very convenient that you rely on a terrorist attack to claim not one but two insurance policies on two different events, although that's not what your policy initially indicated there, Larry Feinstein. But yeah, from that, you get two buildings destroyed, you get your money twice, and you get rid of a building that was literally in the red for the majority of its existence. The World Trade Center could not keep up with its payments. It was a fucking white elephant. It could not pay for its debts, and you could not find anybody who wanted to fill, occupancy in that. Well, one thing leads to another, now doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's also not forget the Jews that were arrested not the morning of 9/11, celebrating openly in the streets.
The
as this
dancing
was going down.
Israelis. Yes, I could definitely bring up some information. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it right now. Let's do it live. Here you go. You want some of the... well, actually, these aren't necessarily the dancing Israelis. These were the Israelis who were actually operating within the tower in doing a supposed art display. But if you take a look at all the boxes that are they're being... that they're using, they're literally labeled for the high explosives that are going to be utilized to take it down.
That's the paint stuff that I was talking about.
There you go. But again, these are different from the dancing Israelis, the moving crew. Like, there was a lot of... There was the Israeli crew in Brooklyn, I believe. I believe it was Brooklyn. But they monitored... one of the cells. Well, that's what they claimed to the Americans. They were probably just handlers. But yeah, there was a crew of supposed, and again, they're all puppets. They're all puppets in this. So this crew of supposed Muslim terrorists in Brooklyn, I believe, were supposedly being monitored, but in fact probably handled by these Israeli agents. And it was all fucking known by the Americans. In fact, let's even go even further. How about we dispel things? Go ahead, guys. You keep talking.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is there is so much. I mean, the whole 9/11 there are so many, and for so many, this was their for me, I got just for me talking.
Oh my God.
My tiny little brother sitting there doing her math, whatever. And the teacher come in and said, everybody go to the library. And it was just right down the hall. So we go in and they had the TV on and they were showing that after Tower 1, there's probably 40 of us maybe in there. But when we were sitting on TV, about 5 to 10. And we're watching on the news coverage, and then within minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so, we're watching live as
Oh my God.
and that was, I can't remember the name of Texas. That was shocking. That was like, oh my God. It looked like a disaster. I mean, you're obviously seeing it right now. But
Well, are you
I mean,
are you
and I'm
looking
sure the
to?
ones.
But are you looking at what I wrote in the chat? Where's the plane? Where's the plane?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Oh no, that's what I'm
Where's the
saying.
plane?
Going back now, there's so much. I'm talking what it
We're
was
literally
like.
watching it in the fucking replay on the fucking stream here, Tex. Where is the fucking plane?
See, the best I can figure is probably up Cheney's fat ass, but he probably hadn't got it out of there yet. Who knows? So, but yeah, that's the whole thing. Is 9/11 is it was the birth of a lot of people. You know, it fired off a lot of people that were like, hey, you know, maybe those guys talking about Vietnam can be because crazy stuff.
It's kind of fun.
Rosie, look at both the Droppin and shows us where is
Oh my God.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. I mean, if you watch the TV version, you got it very clear, but, you know, with all the technology that, let's see, hang on. Extreme Chef says no Jew people went to work that day in the trade center. Yeah, including Rudy Giuliani himself. So, I 100% believe he was in on this crap as well. I never trusted that dude. I think there's a lot of people that never got held accountable.
Actually, that's a
And,
fact. There was a Israeli company that, and again, Israeli companies keep buying VPNs, so be careful. And they're also, you know, they were involved with this intelligence company that basically alerted people throughout, you know, the day prior to 9/11, do not go into the office because, you know, there might be a danger. This is on record here, people. This is on record. You can deny it all you want, but it literally is on the public record.
Yeah,
Well, not to mention, go ahead, Bill.
yeah. How I saw that, and when I heard of just hearing it now, it's just like, yeah, I would think that something was up if I got something like that. Like, why are you sending me this, and how do you know this? So it's just like, so you knew somebody's gonna hijack a plane and crash into a building, but there was no, in another picture of the building was just building. So it's just like, yeah, it's hard to say that this wasn't staged or it's coming down to just the same. But more of the fight teams from that.
Always call for President Trump. In fact, I got some. I do have some.
Oh my God.
Look at that. This, what was displayed on TV? Say what was displayed on TV? Our show as well, Tex. What was displayed on TV was at least 10 to 15 seconds behind what was being shown.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a display of probably some of the best CGI that was available at that time. And what you saw on TV was literally superimposed with these graphics. So just like the images that I'm showing right now on the screen, the fact is that they would not... Again, a plane does not crash into a building and not splinter into a dozen pieces, okay? It doesn't embed itself and go through the other side, especially considering the building style of the World Trade Center. But this is the fantasy that people want to bring in, and what needs to be understood is that what you saw on TV literally was, at that point, 2001, at least publicly, the best graphic manipulation software that you had seen, because they were not only able to delay what you saw, they were able to superimpose video onto that, but they were a little sloppy and not that good. So you'll see some videos where the plane goes through the building and yet somehow the cockpit, which should have been totally destroyed, comes out the other side. Impossible if you understand the actual material status of aluminum or aluminium for you Americans. Please continue.
That honestly, wow! I didn't even know that they did the CGI on the TV. Like, holy shit!
It's it is something that's hard to for some people to either understand or to accept, but it is basically what it is. And I mean, even I'm just trying to pull up a graphic right now, see if it'll work. But even the Pentagon image, you can see that there's because they said, oh, we couldn't find an image. First of all, the Pentagon is the most filmed building in the entire world. Okay, there's cameras on that thing like crazy, and yet for years they claimed that they could not find any fucking footage or they couldn't release it. And, well, when they finally released it, they initially released something that looked very contrived and, fit
Wasn't it like shots? Wasn't it from a gas station?
No. That footage was confiscated and destroyed.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. But, like,
the one that they released just didn't. It didn't even look like a plane. It actually looked like a fucking... Right. A missile. But then there's another video out there which I'm trying to pull up right now, but I'm just OBS being a bitch. And yes, you can clearly tell that this is a fucking missile. So I'm going to try to transition here, and yet it goes right back to this other screen. I don't know why it's doing that. Is it showing up on...
I'm still waiting.
I saw it for a minute, then it went black.
I'm still waiting for it.
You gotta love Scott, you know what I mean?
It's fucking... I don't know.
Yeah, there it is. It went black now.
I don't see dick on.
I don't know why it just fucking... There we go. Hold on. There we go. No, and then there it disappears.
They're trying to silence us.
That's probably...
We're telling too much truth. We're telling too many truths over here.
Yeah, well, to add on, I do believe there were several people that actually wanted to study and investigate the 9/11 attacks, but they were not authorized to do so by I believe, Congress. Not letting them look into it.
Well, the first people that were selected to actually investigate the 9/11 situation for the 9/11 committee basically were... I can't remember his name, but they were so up George Bush's ass. Sorry, so much up George Bush's ass. There we go. That they, even Republicans were calling him up and like, no, this guy's way too fucking compromised to even discuss this. Now, granted, the conclusion of this investigation was still fucking bullshit. But even when this guy Zelensky was brought in, there we go.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Oh shit,
yeah. Even Republicans and shit. And again, George Bush was running the roost. Again, he had this great opportunity and people loved him. He was fighting terrorism and stuff. And even Republicans were like, nope, this guy's way too deep. We can't have him in this.
Yeah. I don't got anything for that. Michael Zelensky, right?
I think it's Michael, but regardless, is that I would love to talk about this, in further fashion. I know that Tex will have to leave shortly, but, this is something that we can definitely talk about either in another show or, something else. Who knows? But I'm more than willing to go deep on this. I know that you clearly are interested, and dude, I love sharing what I've got because I've got a lot to share, especially on this. So, I would love to fucking show you what I've got. It's pissing me off it's not showing the fucking missile shot on the fucking Pentagon. Go ahead, Tex.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, obviously, I didn't plan on being beer this long, but what the hell? It's a good time. This is good content. This is something that you're not getting everywhere. You don't see this stuff, especially anywhere else. I mean, so this is the kind of stuff that we want to talk about because, like with Bullseye here, you learn something new, and this is just cool shit. I mean, for Dave and myself, we remember this, but somebody who's younger who's maybe watching, you're just getting second, third, fourth hand news here.
Yeah.
This is just.
And again, we can't blame Bullseye either because the fact is he only grew up after the fact being told what the establishment is telling him. Meanwhile, we were glued to the fucking screen when this shit happened. And
Dude,
we were like, our minds were blown. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Dude, I can remember my little town at the one red light. The firefighters would stand there every day for like a month. And as the cars would stop, they would ask for donations to help, clean this up and save people up there. We were sending firemen up there for my little area. I mean, this affected everybody. I mean, this shocked a whole generation. I mean, this took America, and I mean, everybody wrapped themselves up in the flag.
By happenstance, by the way, I had a graphic on my desktop I was just looking at. The 5 dancing Israelis. So please continue.
There they are.
Again, this happens. It all happens for a reason, people. And I had this just literally ready to be moved to another folder, but it was displayed now. Why? Because God willed it. Deus vult.
Yeah. Here's my part when I was growing up watching this. So it took me several times. I listened to my father. I listened to other people. Everybody's, take on it. When I was in school, when they were presenting this, it was only a presentation they would show on TV, I believe, back in the day. They would just show the planes crashing into 2 buildings. Yeah. And that was it. So them going down, and then it was like, this is so bad. This was the worst thing that could ever happen. That bullshit. But when I go home, my father was the person that was actually talking to me about this. He was talking about me that when you take heat, it takes so much heat to melt metal, no matter what. You can't just have hot fire burn metal and then just melt like that and go down like that. Correct. It takes so much time for metal to melt.
Yep.
Go down. So even when I got that and I learned some little chemistry from that, I was like, no wonder that it makes sense. Because any chemistry class, they'll teach you that heat rises. Heat rises. And, that's just kind of the basic thing. If heat rises, them going down is bullshit. And that just flames that just burn 1,000 degrees won't melt metal so fast and create buildings.
And certainly won't allow a building to crash into its actual footprint equally and unassisted. If a normal building collapses, it'll tip to its side. Just look at the bullshit buildings that they make in China. Meanwhile, this building came down perfectly at free fall speed without ever having to fucking worry about that it's going to, splash into another area.
Yeah. And also, I want to talk about this. The planes crashing into the buildings. And you showed the CGI. It also puts into question, like, okay, you didn't know the people that were operating those planes? Like, I would think that back in the day they were keeping track of those planes, right?
But the thing is, I can't wait to fucking do it. Tex, we're going to have to do an episode on this or a separate show. But the fact is, dude, that whole operation that entire day was planned perfectly, where you have planes that literally come over the supposed planes and they take over its radar and ID, acknowledgements, and the other plane goes, offline, and it can fly off, and the other plane is now a decoy. It could be a drone even. There's so much that happened that day because basically most of the planes ended up at Boston Airport and at Logan Airport in Boston. And again, if you look into this, all of the flights, the 4 flights that supposedly, were running that day involved in this, were about at quarter capacity. Now, you combine all of those 4 flights into one flight, you get everyone onto one plane. Now, there are discussions that they went to Logan Airport in Boston, and from there, they were dispatched, that is to say, executed, and then the plane was flown over the Atlantic, which there are reports of, and bodies were thrown out of the plane. But these other planes, there's one of them, I believe, that although it was reported destroyed, its tail number and its serial number still exist as an active plane in, I believe, American Airlines inventory. So how would that be possible? So the point I'm trying to make is that there was a total operation planned, and these calls, for example, that claimed that they were being hijacked could not have been made from a plane at that point because, back then, 2001, that was not possible. Can you make cell phone calls from a plane now? Yes. Why? Because they're outfitted where they're connecting your phone to their communication service to actually connect to satellites and other places. But could you do that in 2001? No. All these calls of people saying they were supposedly being hijacked were all false. Let's Roll. Let's Roll was basically a line that was created to create support for this fallacy.
Well, maybe I should
can't
listen
disagree
in.
with any of it.
What's that?
I can't disagree with any of it.
I mean,
I know it's a big one. It's a big one.
This will be a lot to take in, but it might actually be worth it because it's like every time I hear something about it, it's just like, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, all you have to do is just say, give me the vids, and I'll give you the vids, man. I've got fucking documentaries, I've got documents, I've got everything you want. If you want to find out the truth about this, no matter how far you're willing to dive deep into the rabbit hole, well, I'm your Cheshire Cat. I'll show you exactly how far this rabbit hole goes.
No, I am interested in seeing no matter what. If something isn't being brought out, I am interested in, putting it out myself. So, that's kind of why I talked about the 2022 and the 2022 hearings about Donald Trump when that stream took him down, right? Because I actually wanted to talk about the things they're not bringing up.
Like,
They don't really bring up the fact that the neo-Nazis were there at the January 6th riots or the Antifa members were there. The Antifa members were there, literally admitting, yeah, I was there. I'm Antifa. What are you going to do about it? All threatening and cool. And they just gloss over that. And the Democratic Party is the party of Antifa. So, and BLM. Terrorist groups.
true.
So they're trying to say that Trump supported terrorism for that, despite there's history of Democrats supporting terrorism throughout the fucking years. And then literally trying to create a terrorist attack at 9/11. Well, maybe not them entirely, but still. And the KKK were terrorists themselves. So it's like,
Well, the real history of the Klan, it's been severely. They're not nearly what history wants them made out to be. Were there bad sects? Did bad things happen? Yes, but that's happening everywhere in every group. You can't just. I would also recommend looking into that as many other things with an open mind because it's not exactly what the world wants it to be. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things.
Yeah, but when I looked into the KKK, okay, I have notes about it. So here's what I got. Here's what I got. Okay, the Wikipedia is totally wrong on what the KKK is. They were totally not targeting the left. Okay, The left are the Democrats. All right, they've always been the left. So, and the Democrats were the party of the KKK. Now, conservatives were KKK, so there's a history of conservatives going to for voting Republican to liberals voting, Democrats. But that's a different story. Here's what I know: the KKK was not just targeting black people. That was not the case. Just the case. Of course, they were a party of slavery. That was not their end goal. Their end goal was to target Republicans because Republicans were the party of disbanding, were party of, liberty. People make their own decisions. And the KKK tried to control that and say, if you vote for this, we will hang you. Of course, they hanged more black people, but they also hanged white people. So that was the KKK's goal, to, force people to vote Democrat. So that's what I know. I could go deeper into that, but I guess I could redo that again.
We'll
maybe.
blow your mind as soon as we do some more 9/11
That's it.
stuff.
That's a whole episode. I'm gonna hold on to that one for another episode because I think I can change your mind a little bit.
I think so too.
There's there is some truth in there in what you said, and there's a lot that I believe I can change your mind on.
That's right. It needs to be dispelled with the
and
truth.
I'll just leave it at that. I don't have time or the energy to do it right now, but I promise.
No, well, we're about to wrap up anyways. We've been providing a great show for everyone. In fact, it's a free fucking show. Yet 0 donations. So it just goes to show that people love what we do, but they're not willing to pay for it. So, but regardless, is that yes, this requires a separate stream altogether, and we're not going nowhere. So just because we might have to take a few weeks off from time to time. The fact is, there's nobody else when it comes to hard truth, when it comes to me and Tex. Okay.
Sure. We bring the views, man.
We bring the truth. That's the
getting.
biggest thing.
This is something you're not going to get anywhere else.
And we're unabashed. We're unabashed about what we believe in. Does it offend you?
Sure.
We don't really care. Do we hate you? No. But we are proud and we believe in what we say. And if you don't like it, go away.
Well, if you're already a fan, keep watching and tell somebody else to watch. That's all you can really do. So it's all good. But
all right, I guess on that note, we're gonna wrap it up then.
I believe so.
All right,
appreciate you calling in, man.
Yeah.
I'll go and leave you guys alone now.
No, we're just wrapping it up regardless. But again, we appreciate your call. We appreciate your input. We appreciate your difference in opinion. Because, again, we don't shy away from that here on this channel, nor on this show. Because we're more than willing to stand up for what we believe in. In fact, if this show didn't show that, well, then I guess you're going to have to watch it again and look harder. Because we believe what we believe. And you could call us hateful or whatever, but that's on you. That was that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be looking forward to you guys. Apparently, got to dispel some of the things I said about KKK, but I am interested in listening in and maybe debating it. So who knows?
Sounds good. Well, look into what we've mentioned, especially the JFK stuff, because it'll blow your fucking mind.
Yeah. I'll do that. So see ya. Have a nice day.
All right. There goes. It's ballsy. So we're going to wrap it up. We've been going for, let's see here, about 2 hours. Oh, hold on, 3 hours. And Tex has been so grateful to spend his time with us here today. But, his time is limited, So we're going to wrap it up. Any final thoughts on your end other than unrepentance that Drew is wrong about his assessment on the mentally ill?
Drew, haha, I'm right. And I will accept your penance in form of cash payment. It's okay.
So would I.
100, but I only accepted $100 increments though. So think wisely. Do what you need to do. I'm not telling you how much, but you know what the correct amount is. Check tomorrow night. I'll be over on the Harsh Truth YouTube channel. I'll be talking Stranger Things season 4 with Frank from the Harsh
Spoiler
Truth
alert.
derail. So yes, full spoilers. If you haven't watched it, why are you watching that show? Go watch it
Exactly.
ahead of time.
No hate
So,
watchers allowed.
No hate watchers. You must comment. Enjoy yourself, but come visit, hang out, have a good time. I'm at Slasher Vision on Twitter, at Slasher Vision, and I'll see y'all on the next one. That's about it.
All right. So on that note, we shall see you next time.
Adios.